So, what do we got?
So we got some new stuff.
New stuff?
Not new to us necessarily, but
Okay. New.
new product.
We have Riley back.
Yay, Riley.
DB Cooper is not here currently because he jumped out of a plane.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know where he went, but he might show up again.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine?
Yeah.
Okay. He has his, what was it, backpack full of money? Or,
Yes.
Plus his video game soundtracks to keep him occupied while he's working.
Yep. Cooper's got it all figured out.
He does.
So the long ones are
That's scary.
excellent take.
Honestly, I'm gonna do it. It's a big boy, but
I might do like the short stubby one. I haven't done one of those in a while.
okay.
So Riley, I've got some short Melanias, and then I've got one I got just for you. That little guy.
I'll do that one.
The edge.
The edge, but it's not a Maduro. We've never smoked that before.
Habano.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guessing like a Cuban or Nicaraguan seed. Oh,
I have no idea.
Riley will
Okay,
have to give us the
cutter.
lowdown.
Probably need a guillotine one because of the edge of this one.
Yeah, and I did not bring out the little wedge cutter.
I got the wedge cutter.
I'm kind of back to nice one. I might use wedge cutter for the fat one.
Okay. Do you have the other guillotine one? I'll use this one actually. This one's fine. Here, you can pass that to my dad. Your brother in Christ.
Oh, and my brother. That's an interesting facet of theology that I kind of learned about as a grown-up, because
You learned as a kid.
well, no, because like there's certain things.
No, I'm just saying because you didn't learn as a kid.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
you don't learn theology when you're a kid.
Kind of like when you're a kid, it kind of depends on how much your parents teach you, but like as a kid, you might not know like until you're, 24 or whatever, and you realize like, wait, so like, is grandma actually in heaven, or is her soul just like asleep?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. And it's like, I need to go check that out. Maybe there's an answer that I don't know about. And one of those that I had, and it basically paints this very clearly in something that Jesus says to, I think, the Jews. When they ask him, like, so if a woman marries a man, the man dies, and she marries his brother, etc., 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 and she does that 7 times, who is she married to in heaven? And Jesus gives, I think, a really good answer, but it's the kind of question, one of those questions where it's like, am I going to be married to my spouse in heaven when I get there? And coming to the realization, through what Jesus said, and also just like this makes sense logically, is like our relationship as, humans with each other in paradise.
It's different.
Well, even just like someone you're not really related to, like my relationship with Joe Schmo, who I don't know, who grew up in Canada and was just a nice Christian his whole life, is going to be more intimate than the relationship I have with my wife right now. And that's kind of the thing that Jesus was getting at, is it's like, that's not going to really be a thing because everything is going to be like so much better. That's not going to be necessary.
Right, and the Bible says we're not given a marriage in heaven.
That's pretty much what he says.
Yeah.
And the realization that like, oh, I am not going to necessarily be married in heaven, but I will have this like very intense, intimate relationship with everyone around me because we've all been perfected.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is, in a way, a hard pill to swallow, but also it's like, that seems like an upgrade to me.
And a lot of close Christian couples struggle with that.
Mm-hmm. Haley and I are very close.
Yeah. And, you take other cults / belief systems like the LDS, they believe that they'll have their own planet. have celestial sags.
Their own gods, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be their own gods in a way. Which I think lends to that desire, that earthly desire, to want to just be with your spouse. But we just know so little about, the unseen realm and what's out there and what's to come. So I think it's a very carnal thing, honestly, to want that.
It is.
And it's an honest carnal thing. Like,
Yes.
I don't think it's sinful to want
Yes.
that.
Yeah. But like what you were saying just made me think, it's not hard for us to imagine joy and bliss that's like better than sex in heaven.
Right.
It's like, okay, yeah, sex is one of the best things you can experience on earth.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people are addicted to it and pursue it as, like an end in life is just to have, Hugh Hefner. But it's not hard for us to imagine, like, okay, I can see myself being like happier and more fulfilled and have more like ecstasy and joy than that.
Right.
I don't see that as impossible. So it's like, if we can see that, then why can't we see the same thing with interpersonal, like, just relationships?
Agreed.
Rather than just this physical experience we have.
Agreed.
So, there you go.
Riley, how is it?
It's pretty good. I like it a lot.
So that's the Edge, but it's not a Maduro. So it's not an aged wrapper. Still aged 10 years.
Wow.
I don't know if I didn't cut deep enough. I'm not getting more smoke out one end than the other. That's a bit better.
Better. Yeah, these really fat Melanias, like just the little wedge cut, works great. Because then you don't get like this huge surface area. Because I've noticed too,
I
like
probably should have done that like this way on this one, maybe.
Oh.
It's kind of falling apart a little bit now.
So these just came from rims,
Okay.
which my experience again has been that like if you just get them from rims, they almost need to like
Chill.
chill because I mean you walk in there, it's they got the humidor running, but just wonder if it's enough. This one was wrapped, which I don't know if that matters a whole lot. So that is the
There's a bullet.
No.
Or is it Maker's Mark?
Maker's Mark, the wax coating on the top.
Yeah.
Maker's Mark, yeah. A little darker.
It's what you guys had in the. Were they Mai Tais? What were they? The
Oh,
cocktail you guys
good
made?
grief, what did she make? No, it was.
I don't even know what's in a Mai Tai.
So we did about 6 or 7 lemons, cut them in half, put barbecue like seasoning on them, put them on the grill. So this is 4th of July.
Yeah.
Grilled them for about 40 minutes, so they got super juicy with some smoke, and then we juiced them, and then we made a simple syrup, also put that on the grill in a pan so it got a little smoky. Then combined the lemon juice, the simple syrup, and then bourbon, and then ice and water. So it was kind of like a bourbon lemonade.
Weird. I didn't try any of it. I didn't
You
even
didn't
know
try
what
it?
it was. No.
Oh, it was interesting. We followed the recipe on Instagram, which might have been a mistake. So it was like really light and like not super flavorful. So then Andrea tripled it.
Oh.
So 3 cups of orange juice, 3 cups of simple syrup, then the rest water, and maybe, I mean, again, it's in Instagram reels. It's like, I don't know, how accurate is it? And that ended up being a gallon with some ice, which we've made mojitos. That sounds about more close to right. And then probably a cup and a half of bourbon.
Dang.
So it kind of had this like kind of a cloudy yellowish brown hint to it, and then you rim the glass with the. So we used a seasoning that we used for like a pork rub. It was kind of a sweet, salty rub, and you put that on the rim of the glass. So you're kind of sipping over that, almost like a margarita. The final version turned out pretty good.
Okay.
But I think she made like 2 different batches of that. It's decent.
Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't try it.
Yeah, we probably didn't explain it well.
I'm getting 0 draw out of this. I don't know
Really?
why. Yeah. It's just not a lot of smoke.
We do another whole cut off the end.
Give the.
That's,
Just give it a bit of a. Annoying flies. I bring a fly swatter out to my front porch now because it's like they hang out by the window because they have the
so ridiculous.
swamp cooler line.
The bugs this spring and summer, this is probably a 20-year high.
Yeah.
So I've been... Same thing, I've been sitting on my front porch the last couple of nights. I've had a stag beetle come at me.
Really?
How big are those?
Well, I would equate it to like a scarab, like an Egyptian scarab.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy, creepy, scary. Has these huge mandibles out front. So I looked it up. So it flies at you like this way, like broad body with the wings out to the side. So I see it coming at me like, get out of there.
Hit
Ends
the
up
deck.
like landing on the front porch, on our front porch mat. And so I tell Andrea, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something crazy out here. She comes out. She tries to like scoop it away. It's clinging to our welcome mat.
Oh my gosh, these things?
Yeah, that thing.
What?
Yeah. 2 nights in a row, Riley. You're not here, so you don't know any of the things.
What? You gotta get a picture.
So I finally put a bucket over it. I'm like, I want to sit here and finish my cigar. So so the first night, I put a bucket over it. I'm fine. I finished my cigar. Finally, it crawls out from under the bucket. I'm like, all right, I'm going in. Second night, I'm out there smoking my cigar. Same thing. You could hear it like coming right out my head. Boom! I'm out of there. I go to like the front lawn. I think Andrea's out there and Oliver's out there. They're just laughing at me. The thing's scary.
Look at that thing.
Yeah, I'm down at the sidewalk. I'm like, all right, whatever. Cigar in hand, right? Then all of a sudden, it like takes flight, comes right at me, lands on my shoulder. Hell no.
Why is got something with you?
I knock it off. I'm like, I'm done. I'm going in the backyard. Peace out. So we do some research. So it's a scrub beetle, or no, scab beetle.
Skag.
Skag.
Or stag beetle.
Stag beetle. There.
Sorry, yeah.
Stag beetle.
Skag.
So all the articles are like, oh, this is like the gardener's best friend because they're attracted to decomposing matter, and they'll like scoop through all your stuff and eat like dead trees and stuff.
Nice.
But not common to like dry, arid, high desert areas like Grand Junction.
Yeah, I didn't know we had.
But we had so much rain and so much moisture and all the things that I think we have them here. And I wonder too if like the smell of the cigar, if that's like decomposing wood, maybe. I don't know. But, like he was after me. I've not seen him out here yet. Freaking fly. Might get the fly swatter.
Well, if he comes
Kind
back,
of fun to smack them as you're smoking, actually. Yeah.
So that's what it is. So they won't bite you. They're a friendly giant. They don't harm animals. They're just really creepy, especially for people in Colorado where we're used to like a mosquito's like obnoxious, but like we don't get like inch and a half long beetles flying at us.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Well, know something's kind of scary. There's this spider in like a certain desert that literally that likes shadows. It doesn't like being in the sun, so it'll chase you, but it's just wanting to stay in your shadow. So it looks like you're chasing you.
Oh, it's creepy.
Yeah, so like it'll just be walking, it looks like it's chasing you, and you start running, and it'll keep going faster because it wants to stay in your shadow.
Oh, I want none of that.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll get to you. I don't even think they're dangerous. I think they're just like normal. Like they're pretty big though.
Did you see that new Fear Factor game where everyone's got like their head in a box?
Yeah, and they get the cockroach.
And it's on like a row, and then one will be like crickets on their head. The next
Yeah.
one it's like cockroaches.
Yeah.
Next one like a snake crawls out from behind your head, but you're in this like
I
little
actually
box.
wouldn't mind a snake. Depends on the snake, but like bugs, but snakes, I don't
Like
know.
a one by one foot box, and then one is like this huge creepy spider. It's non-venomous,
Ugh.
and
Probably
the
a
guy's like, "Get me
tarantula or
out of here!"
something.
And it's like crawling up, then it's about to crawl on her face.
Ooh.
It's hairy and nope.
Yeah, I know bugs and
I'm not
like-
gonna win $1 million letting a creepy spider crawl on my face. On
like
my face.
a lot of people don't like snakes. I haven't seen a lot of snakes, but I don't mind them. You know, like
If it's non-venomous and it's not gonna like bite my nose or something, I honestly don't care about snakes. But
Yeah.
spiders are.
if it's
super
not venomous
gross.
or it won't like crush me, I'm okay with that.
And la cucaratras, no thanks.
I don't like things that are very
Skittery
yeah, that's probably the right word. Like with a ton of tiny little
appendages.
feet, like daddy long legs, praying mantises, stuff like that.
Oh,
I just stick bugs. No, thank you.
Hairy legs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just where it's like, if you have one on you, it's a very like tactile, tingly experience, and I'm like, that's a no for me.
So what about those
I
are they
like-
Mormon crickets?
Oh yeah,
Have you seen all
Jerusalem
those?
crickets.
Jerusalem. Well,
Are they? Wait, hold
it's
on.
that big. They're what down in New Mexico. But
Hold
then
on,
we
look
have a
up
friend that
an
was
image.
over in
I hate the
Utah,
way
and
they
he's
look.
like driving down the road. He's like, "What's going on with the road? Like, it's like millions of these things." He's driving over. and it
Oh,
sounds
these are
like
different.
popcorn popping.
Okay.
Jerusalem crickets.
No. These
No?
are different. Jerusalem crickets are really big and really yucky.
No, these are small.
These are Mormon crickets. They're kind
Mormon
of
crickets.
darker. They are a little bigger than a regular cricket, but
So this huge. Again, I think it's the weather.
well, isn't. I thought it was Nevada. I thought like Las Vegas or something had like a ton
Maybe that's
of
what
them.
it was.
Yeah,
Maybe Nevada.
they had a ton of them. Freaking, like I hear them buzz right into my head. Like, what's your plan there, bud?
We, Mike and I went to DeBeck. I think it was a couple Mondays ago. I don't think it was this last week, but
Is it our brother?
yes.
Okay.
And we did like a a dual job for a photo shoot. This guy paid us like $430, and we
Excellent.
kind of split it sort of 50-50.
Yeah.
But like he did drone photos and drone video in the like exterior photos, and then I did all the interior photos. And then like invoiced and delivered them to the guy.
Did you reach out to him about that, or?
He kind of referred it to me
Oh, nice.
because he got the lead, or the lead came to him, and it seems like he still gets leads even though he's not super
Yeah.
active right now because
Yeah.
he's not able to drive at the moment. But he referred it to me and said like, you want to like do it together, and we were gonna do it several months ago, but it was still kind of like wet up there, and it was a ton of dirt roads, so we kind of waited until it was summer so we could drive up there. Okay. And while we were up there, there was gnats like crazy.
Oh, gnats are horrible.
And while he was out there trying to get smooth video, he literally had just gnats on his face, flying around his ears, and he couldn't brush them off because then he would get bad video.
Oh my gosh, that's torture.
And then while we were up there, we also got bit by a ton of. I mean, I still have them,
Yeah.
and they're like
Mosquitoes?
2 weeks old. I don't know what they were. I don't know if it was the gnats.
Gnats bite.
They do.
Oh yeah.
Could have been them then.
And they'll get around your like hat line, and they'll just like get in there and they'll just start chewing on you. They're horrible.
Worst.
Mosquitoes, I can deal with that. You can put bug spray on, whatever. But gnats, nothing combats gnats.
We might need to get one of those citronella candles out here. Right off the.
It's not gonna help with the flies, Riley.
Oh.
I mean, you can get Mom's little like ultrasonic boom thing. I mean, go get it if you want.
I might go
It's
get
on the
it.
counter, I think. It's all charged. I don't know what it does.
It keeps them away.
I don't know what it is.
I might go get
It's
it.
witchcraft.
It's witchcraft, aim all the more. So I have to do this to get a good draw. I took my whole mouth around it so that there's no.
I have found a cigar, if it's too dry, you almost get too much air going through like outer leaves. But it's not
That
through
could
the
be
center.
it. That could be it.
So then you gotta like completely.
Because my normal like stance isn't drawing
Which
enough.
stinks, is that's a great cigar.
It's not bad. It's just a little inconvenient, but it's
Yeah.
still tastes great, which is all I care about, honestly.
Yeah, that's been my experience with Rams. Probably the last, I don't know, 8 months. You buy a cigar there, and it's like it's not going to be quality out of the chute. You've got to almost put it back in your humidor. And in my humidor, it's poop right now. I don't know what's going on.
Mine is like. I should probably try to fix mine. It's down to like 55.
Oh yeah, Mine's right at 70.
But I open it up and it seems super humid. The cigars don't seem dry, so I don't know
I wonder
what
if you
this whole
have
thing
to
about 70 to 75 is, because it seems impossible.
I know with mine it recommended that you recalibrate the hygrometer.
Hygrometer.
Yeah. Because I'm sitting at 70 and it's like barely where I want it to be as far as pulling a cigar. But if I put them in the bag with the little packet and leave it in there for a few days, they're great. And then put it in a little like airtight thing. It's like, all right, I bought like a $100+ humidor. It'd be nice if it worked.
Is it like an analog hygrometer, or is it digital?
It's digital.
Okay. Those don't need recalibrated then.
Okay. And it's been sort of humid lately too, so it's like it should be pretty good. But
I don't know. I like, for, as high end of a product as humidors seem to be, like, I have had mixed results.
I agree with that.
And I don't know what the solution is, if it's my problem or
I've pulled the drawers out, I've wiped them down with the solution, thinking like I'm going to reset this.
I've done that multiple times. I've even taken like a hot glue and like glued around the inside of the glass, around the inside,
trying to seal it.
around the like where the hygrometer sits in, because it's not airtight where the thing sits in for me. So I'm like trying to seal it as best I can, even on the bottom.
Yep.
Because mine has a little drawer that comes out, so like maybe it's leaking out through there. So I did all that, and it still doesn't seem to hold any moisture, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's I want to.
By the way, I've got large. I know you don't do ice in your thing, but I've got them if you want it.
Okay. I mean, the only reason I don't do ice is because I don't like it watered down. Sure. But I'm probably not going to be drinking a ton tonight because I was having a little bit earlier today. So, thank you.
I forget I have them, so Andrew reminded me. So I'm going to put those in a little ice cooler.
What's this thing?
I don't know. It just does something to the bugs.
We don't know.
It's on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's on.
Smoking.
My tumor's acting up all of a sudden. It's gone.
It's gone. It's cured.
But it's over here now.
It's switched sides. It's on the left kidney. I thought about maybe, like, it seems like a frivolous purchase, so I haven't done it yet, but getting a second hygrometer to put inside to compare.
Yeah.
To see if maybe it's giving me different results.
It's like my smoker grill. There's a built-in thermometer. I'll say like it's 220, but then I put another one in there, a second one, it's like, no, it's 200. Like 25 degrees is a big difference.
We did that with our oven because the oven that was there when we moved in.
Nope.
What is it?
Bumblebee.
Oh, bumblebees are good. I like bumblebees.
I know, but the bugs.
Leave us alone.
We've never had this problem at it before. Your
oven. Yeah, and we were noticing that, like, it. How did we notice this? Because we would preheat the oven to something, and we would notice that if we canceled it once it got up to the temperature, and then preheat it again, it was not up to temperature yet. It didn't say where it was at because it was an older one. It would just like preheat for another maybe 5 minutes and it would beep again.
Yeah.
We'd hit cancel, put it in, and then it would beep right away. So the first preheat didn't bring it all the way up. And so we bought just a little like $10, analog thermometer to hang off the rack in there. And we would preheat it up and we'd see like, oh, it's like 25 below where it should be.
Oh my gosh.
So thankfully we were actually able to get like a new oven for free from a friend of Haley's parents recently. So we got that. But we kept the thermometer in there and we were just like kind of looking at it to monitor to see like, how well it was on, how well it was matching with the digital oven thermometer. And for the most part, it was good, but there were times where it would be like 10 to 15 above or below where it claimed to be.
Looks like we have backup coming in.
Ah.
Thank you, Dream Andrea.
She's lit the incense. casting the spell.
I destroyed the other one earlier today.
You did?
It was sitting right here, and I plugged something. It was like really stiff, and I plugged it. Boom.
Nice.
So that's old school. It's the green coil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember those when I was a kid.
I sold those at Safeway.
Yeah. Got them at Home Depot.
Nice.
We bought two, brought them home. Both were broken.
Hmm.
So we took them back, bought two more, then I broke another one. But you smell that? Like that's me as a kid.
Is that the citronella?
I think it's a citronella, but it's like a green ring that just smolders. I think it smells really good. I think it smells like,
I don't think I've ever smelled it before. It kind of has like a fireworks smell.
and it kind of smells like the, what are those sticks called that all the hippies?
Incense?
Incense. Smells like incense.
All the hippies.
When I was barely early 20s, I had a VW Beetle, 69 VW Beetle. Do you remember that? I lived at home.
That sounds correct, but I don't remember what it looked
It
like.
was like light blue.
Okay.
It was like the...
I remember your motorcycle that fell on me.
I took you around on that. You called it a cycle bike.
A cycle bike?
Yeah. I'd take you around the neighborhood.
That was pretty fun. It was loud too.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And so the Beetle, I would burn incense inside of it because, I don't know, that's what we did back then. Listening to Smashing Pumpkins and
Of course. You had the vibe.
had the vibe going.
Your dad was so cool, Riley.
That motorcycle was great. I ended up, right before Andrew and I moved to Iowa for chiropractic school, I sold it to Ken Staten. And I think he just like rehabbed it, resold it. But it was like, it needed, like the engine
It's kind of old, wasn't it?
Yeah, didn't have a ton of miles, but it didn't get rode enough, so I think it just needed to be like worked on. But it was a great motorcycle.
Seems pretty hefty.
It was a 650, so 650 cubic centimeters, which is great for one person. You put two people on it. If you're going up a hill, like it'll lag just a little bit, but it was a good bike, cycle bike.
Yeah, I remember that thing falling on me, and I'm surprised that it didn't. I mean, it just kind of like where my leg was, like it just sort of like pinned it a little bit to where I couldn't move, but it didn't hurt me or anything. I was just like,
Whoa,
someone help! I'm
that's a
stuck.
big thing on me.
Yeah. Shouldn't be messing around on Greg's motorcycle.
Hey, Mr. Oliver. So I remember parking it. I'd take it to work. I'd park it in the city market parking lot. And we just had the parking lot repaved. And it was parked out there one day with the kickstand out. And I'm trying to think, like some motorcycles you can lift up the tail end and you can kick out a whole nother kickstand, which is like a dual kickstand.
Sure.
So it like props up the back end, keeps it balanced. I didn't. I just put out the side kickstand, leaned it over, went in, came back out. The kickstand had like sunk into the asphalt and it had like tipped mostly over, but it wasn't tipped completely on the ground. But it was like 102 degrees out. So I think the asphalt got so hot it just like,
gosh,
yeah, sunk into the asphalt.
that's insane. Were you able to get it out
I
okay?
had to like pull it out. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
I've never thought about that until this day. 26 years later.
Dang.
Yeah. So I had a weird experience. I'll tell you guys about it at some point if you're open to it.
Hey, well, what better time than right now, if you want to?
So I'm listening to a new podcast called Blurry Creatures.
Yeah, you talk to me about the board game?
Yeah.
Or the card game or whatever?
So I'm mistaken. The board game is not a Blurry Creatures board game. It's just called like, I don't know, Cryptid board game or something.
Okay.
And somehow there was a podcast connected with that. And then that led to another podcast, which is Blurry Creatures. They're two guys. They're Christian guys. Probably mid-2020. They're like, the world's going crazy. And we're kind of interested in Sasquatch. Which that was, I don't know why. That was my experience too. Like, all right, we can't go to work. We're trapped in our homes.
Rabbit hole catches your attention.
Catches your attention.
Yeah,
I don't know why Sasquatch. Don't know why. So the same thing. Their whole podcast was based on Sasquatch. And then, so they've done, I don't know, over 100 episodes now, but one of the episodes, there was a guy on, and he was like, they were talking about all the UAP, UFO phenomenon. And he's like, looking at Skinwalker Ranch, if you looked at their last couple episodes, they'll have a camera running at a lot of frames per second.
Okay.
Whatever you call that. Then they'll shoot like a rocket up. They'll do these like little like toy rockets, or they'll do something to create a disturbance on the range. And they'll film the sky above, and they've noticed anytime they do that, all of a sudden like something flies through their area of observation. And so one of the guys on the show, he's a scientist. He's like, based on my calculation, it's going about 1,000 miles an hour. So nothing we've produced can do that, right? So it's a UAP. It's weird.
Right.
And so the guy that's on the show, he's like, so I've tried to encourage my followers to start scanning the skies with cameras at high rates, high frames per minute. I'm like, oh, so is that kind of like the slow-mo setting on your iPhone?
Yeah.
It is. It's 240 frames per minute, or per second. So
some of those YouTube videos of like people jumping on massive water balloons or like
Right.
blowing up a watermelon, those can be like even up to like, I don't want to say millions, but like thousands of frames per second, which is a lot.
And it can
a lot
almost
of
be
frames.
painful to watch. It's like, get on with it. Please just move through it. Like
Right.
fast forward through it because it's so slow.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I've got an iPhone 11 Pro with a decent camera. So I'm sitting out front, looking at the sky. It's about this time. It's not dusk yet. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do 20 seconds, right? So I did 20 seconds in the sky. I held it really still. Stop. Then I went back and watched it. All of a sudden, there's a really large, I don't know if it's a cottonwood tree. There's a tree down by our pond,
Okay.
right? So right there, all of a sudden, behind the tree, something goes up over, and it's large. Like it's not a. So what I tried to figure out is like, is it a bug? Is it an airplane? So in the slow mode speed, it's way too fast for an airplane. It's way too big for a satellite or the space station or anything else. Like you wouldn't see those during the day anyway. Like you would not see the space station go by right now, and it would not be the size of like those light bulbs right there. Like it wouldn't be that size going overhead, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, that's weird. So I sent it to a friend who has a 4K monitor. So he blows it up. He's like, it's definitely coming from behind the trees and then up over you. So it's not a bug in front of my. Because yeah, if you got a like June bug or something goes in front of your lens, yeah, that looks like it's going super fast. It looks super big.
So it was certainly far away enough
Yeah.
to be of a notable size.
Yep, 150 yards. Beyond trees, down that way, and it came out and it came across the sky this way. And it went like pretty fast in slow-mo speed.
Do you still have that video?
I still have that video.
Do you want to send it to me and I can put it on the
We
screen?
will put it on the screen for viewers. I don't know what to think of it.
Okay. Do you want to send it to me right now?
I will send it to you.
Okay. Because I'm curious to see what this looks like.
And I don't know what to think of it. Like, literally, the first try, then I'm like, I'm going to do this 3 more times. 3 more times, nothing. But the first try, something moves through the... Yeah.
That is weird. So did you see it with your naked eye?
Nope. So I sat there with my phone like this for 20 seconds. I'm like, all right, I didn't see anything, but let's go back and look. You go back and look, and of course, it's slow-mo speed. And in slow-mo speed, it's like, whoosh, which that's fast. Because I've recorded Oliver jumping in the pool, and it's like, it's painfully slow. He's
Right.
like,
Right.
you know, eventually hits the water, eventually get the splash. You can see every droplet of water come out of the pool.
Mhm.
That's what I experienced with my phone. This was like, shoot, across the screen.
So, like, I'm trying to wonder, like, if there could be some kind of weird technical anomaly that it's capturing that would look like that, but I don't know what that could possibly be.
I've wrecked my brain. And my
Because like if
assistant has
if you
wrecked
do
his
it enough and like it happens enough, you can maybe assume it's like a weird tech anomaly. But the fact that it only happened for you one time.
See if I can find it, and then I'll.
It's pretty crazy though.
Yeah. Got the right
You
one.
can turn it up a little bit if you want to.
Okay. I'm playing a lot of music right now, which you probably can't hear, but I'm gonna make a playlist because I found a lot of like songs that I want you to listen to.
Okay.
Like they don't have any real connection. They're just a lot of good songs.
That's,
And I'm like,
that's how my playlists were
Yeah.
for you. They were all over
Yeah.
the place, dude.
there's just as much songs. I'm like, man, I think like I really want to show Alex this to get us like feedback on it because they're really good.
Okay. Yeah, do it.
Like I found some some Tool songs I thought were kind of cool, and I found some like songs from like a band I didn't even know existed. And I just find them from things and.
We're doing that. I'm going to do a brightness check. My wet, soggy cigar that I've been full mouthing like a little baby. And we'll give it a bit more because it will get darker. Any luck finding it?
I'm just making sure I got the right one.
You said it was the first one you did, right?
Yeah. Then I tried to like shorten it. Second mark. Okay.
I'll have to remember to add this in. Did you see that Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers has kind of become a theist?
No.
Yeah. Kind of crazy,
What's
man.
a theist?
Just someone who believes in God.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He's not necessarily like a Christian, but he has gone from not believing in God to thinking there is a God of some kind.
Is he the lead singer? Or is he-
He's the bassist.
Oh, that's cool. I don't know a lot about Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, I guess they're bad band memories. Anyway.
Yeah, he's one of the more like notable bassists out there, I guess. So, you as a drummer, when you think of like famous drummers and bands, who do you think of?
Tommy Igoe, but he's not. I don't know if he's in any bands. He's just a good drummer, though. I think he's a jazz drummer. And then like I'd say like obviously like Dave Grohl. the once was drummer of Foo Fighters. I forget his name. And then I don't keep up with like drummers a lot, I guess. And then Jose, I don't know his last name, but in Incubus.
Okay.
I follow him on Instagram. And I'm trying to think of like other drummers.
When you're listening to songs, do like unique drum lines stand out to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's something I actually actively listen to, unless the guitar is just so good. But like, anytime I listen to a song, if it's got a drum beat, I kind of like just tune in. Like it's like playing at the same time of the rest of the song. So it's like the rest of the song's here, and then like the drums are here. You know, like where some people have like, oh, vocals are here and everything else is down here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my drums and everything else is right here. So there's some songs where the vocals or lead guitar is just so good. I really focus on it, even though I'm very aware of the drums.
I feel like a good band is able to have enough variety that all of the members are able to shine.
Yes.
Where it's like, ooh, this song has a very notable bass. This song has some like great drums, or like a great guitar line here, or like the vocals and lyrics are awesome.
Yes.
Like I noticed that listening to all the REM I listened to is that
yeah.
they were able to like have all the members shine in a lot of different ways, whereas a typical rock band,
It's pretty like lead singing guitar.
yeah, like even like, you know, Coldplay, which I enjoy a lot of their music, it's very
Oh,
it's very similar to a lot of other
Yeah,
like
I
pop bands where it's like you hear like the melody of the singing and maybe like the guitar like first and foremost,
and everything.
and everything else is just kind of like there to hold
Yeah.
the song up a little bit.
But then Coldplay's like lead sing, and then piano's like
Right.
Yeah, piano's kind of crazy, but I would agree though.
I once heard Coldplay called baby's first art rock band because they're the stepping stone to like getting into Radiohead, I would say.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Because like they were really influenced by Radiohead.
That makes sense.
And-
They're like a jolly version of Radiohead. Well, sometimes Parachutes is pretty sad.
If you can if you're someone who can enjoy like a Rush of Blood to the Head,
Yes.
you're probably going to be able to stomach a lot of OK Computer pretty well.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And once you stomach OK Computer, then you can go into In Rainbows.
Yes. Or honestly, I would say like some of In Rainbows is even more accessible
I
than,
agree.
than OK Computer. We got it.
I'll send
All
it to you, but
I'll have it on screen, everyone.
I actually haven't seen this.
it's going to come from down here.
Oh, is that it?
Yep,
What is that?
No clue.
that is the question.
That is weird. That is so odd.
So, we know that satellites orbit and the space station and airplanes, and so none of that, like, and again, slow-mo, so it's going about 1,000 miles an hour, is what we figured.
Wait, you filmed that in slow-mo?
Yeah.
So this guy was able to look at your frames per second and kind of estimate the movement.
The length of the screen or the sky, slow-mo at 240 frames per second. And if you looked at that, that'd be like, if that was an airplane in normal speed, it's freaking hauling. No airplane can do that.
Right.
No satellite can do that. The space station doesn't go that fast.
And like you would hear a
in
jet.
normal speed,
Right.
let alone 240 frames per second.
Yeah, silent movement like that fast is like not even like something like a catapult, like a ballistic, you know, like what could that be? And that did not look like a tech anomaly. That
No.
didn't look like your phone just being weird.
Right.
You
And
know?
at some
now
point,
you're making
actually,
me like I just want to just take a picture, take a
I
video
know,
of the
right?
sky and see what happens.
Put your camera at it. A lot of frames per second during, I'd say more during the day, towards not dusk, but before dusk. Like right now or a little bit before would be perfect.
Hey, slow-mo guys on YouTube, you want to get some views? Just point your camera up.
Yeah.
Tell us what you see. They're like, we already did, and we got a letter, and we can't do it anymore.
Can't do it anymore.
They said they'd give us 1 million subscribers if we didn't do it. So we listened, and now we just blow up watermelons. That's all we do. They won't let us look at the sky. Do, 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 do,
It's just really weird.
Can I say, the X-Files theme song is actually pretty great.
Agreed.
It's super simple. but
Someone
it's
worked hard on that. 'cause
super-
It's super simple, but it's just
Very
so
catchy.
iconic.
very eerie and just kind of. I watched, I think 2 full seasons of that. I tried to like slowly work through it when I had chances, but like now the kids are kind of like old enough. I can't really watch it just around the house because Owen gets a little freaked out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how many episodes I have left, but I'm like almost done with season 5 Better Call Saul. Almost done with the whole thing.
There's 6 seasons, right?
Wait, I think there's only 5.
There's 6.
There's 6? Well, then I'm on the 6th season, I guess.
Okay, so you know you're almost done.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm almost to just the Gene episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think actually I'm on the last episode. Like the next one I have to watch is the last episode of the current time of the show.
Okay.
And then I think most of the next ones are going to be, I don't know, in the future. I'm not sure.
How have you felt about the show as a whole?
It was a harder watch than Breaking Bad.
First season is hard because you have like zero familiarity with what's going
Yes.
on.
And it almost actually seems like a lawyer show. Like you're just kind of watching like
A little bit.
You're like,
He's in a broom closet.
yes, yeah.
Then his brother, but that's frustrating.
Mhm.
Won't leave his house, but he seems like he's really smart.
Yes.
Is like you have no frame of reference for what's going on around you except for like
Yes.
Mike is at the ticket booth and that's it.
Mike is there, like, but I just got done with the, well, I don't know if I want to spoil it for my dad, but I got done with the part where
It's
they're,
fine, Riley.
you sure?
Oh yeah. Likelihood of me finishing that series is
Low.
Well, Lalo and Gus had an interaction. It didn't end well for Lalo.
Did not.
No, so that's where I'm at right now.
Nice culmination of that
Yeah.
plot line, huh?
I'm very sad about Howard though. Okay, Howard and Nacho, like Nacho's.
Nacho was earned. He like
Well, I don't know.
did his thing. He paid his price.
The end of his story was a little like, I don't know. It's-
My problem with season 6 is its pacing and like structure feels a little weird. You
Yeah.
know, because it's like that that feels like a huge moment to have happen either like a
yes.
season finale or like a mid-season finale.
Yes.
That was like 3 episodes into this thing. So like this, it's like they're concluding like 3 or 4 different things in one season.
Yes.
So the pacing is a little weird. Kind of like the last season of
Yeah.
Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
which was kind of like
What's
the
going
last
on?
last 3 episodes of Breaking Bad. A lot of stuff happened and a lot of time passed.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, that's a little bit weird in the pacing, and then Better Call Saul is even a bit rockier because it's trying to do a lot
Yeah.
with whatever time or
Yeah.
however many episodes they have. But
Yeah. Which I'm just like a little upset with Nacho's character because it felt like he was working really hard to get out, and then the way he got out, he just ended himself, which is like, oh, okay. Like it was really sad, but like I was really expecting something to happen, like something like big, or like he would actually get out, or like he'd order like a Hoover Max. I don't know, like he'd do something to get out. Like it was like, I thought it was gonna be like super crazy, or like he was gonna fight the whole car, not like go like guns blazing with the whole like.
it was fun to see him like flee from the compound and like have paranoia about
Yes.
absolutely everything he was looking at.
Oh, and then him fighting the not fighting, but running away from the Salamanca twins.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. But it's kind of sad at the end. It was like having that, I guess, knowing that he was just gonna die, But because originally I actually thought he was supposed to fake his death. I thought during that he was gonna run towards like Victor, and he was gonna like shoot him, but not really. That's what I thought was gonna happen. But they were actually gonna have Mike just shoot him.
Yeah.
I actually thought he was gonna fake his death, but then realizing that Mike was supposed to shoot him, and then he shot himself, I was like, oh, that's actually like really, like interesting to save Mike from doing that,
Mhm.
which is like because I know Mike cared about Nacho in like a way,
Yeah.
because he knows he's got like a dad that's not, wants to be like a part of all that,
Mhm.
and Nacho is like actually like he's kind of like the Jesse of Better Call Saul.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, which is like really interesting. So, like when I look back at that, it made it a little better, but still like it's a bittersweet ending,
Great character arc though.
Oh,
And, like
yes.
all of this things that like he did that
Yeah.
affected the Breaking Bad story, like, and he didn't even realize it. It was
Yes.
kind of nuts.
Yes, he did a lot. I mean, like Hector wouldn't be the same.
He put Hector in the wheelchair,
Yeah.
dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be that. He wouldn't. Well, if Gus wasn't there, he wouldn't. Hector wouldn't be in the next show. You know, Nacho or not Nacho. Tuco would be there longer.
Right,
In Better Call Saul, he would not be. Yeah, it's interesting. Which is, it kind of shows like Hank is just such a beast, taking out
is.
all the Salamanca,
He is.
which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm really liking it though. I'm really excited to see how it ends.
Do you have any shows that are next on the docket you want to dive into?
I have so many. I got. Well, I want to watch Vinland Saga, because I've heard that's really good.
No idea what that is.
So it's a Viking anime,
Oh.
but it's like not like. Okay, I've never been into anime just because like there's a lot of like traditional like Japanese stuff in there that's pretty like kind of weird, you know, and I'm like,
Mhm.
what is going on, you know?
Yeah.
But this one seems pretty grounded in its story. It's just like about Vikings and like it's a pretty simple tale of like the son, like the main character's father gets killed by a guy and he seeks out revenge to kill that guy, and then some just stuff happens, a bunch of action, a bunch of cool character development. It's kind of what I've heard.
Who recommended it to you?
I know it's just been popular.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's actually fairly new. Like the second season just finished releasing all the
Yeah,
episodes
that's
on
where you've been.
Netflix.
Where I've been, we've actually been watching an anime. We are almost done with it.
What are you guys watching?
Full Metal Alchemist.
Is that good? I've heard about it.
It's very good.
Okay.
It's watching it, I kind of realized that it sort of laid the groundwork for Avatar because it has
Oh,
a
really?
lot of similarities to Avatar.
Ooh, because I like Avatar a lot. Like, that's one of my most favorite animated shows of all time.
You'd probably enjoy Full Metal.
Okay.
It's like a more grown-up version of
Okay.
Avatar, but a lot of similarities, but they're not like identical.
Okay, but like, is that like similar story beats or similar writing?
I mean, like characters that are able to alter reality.
Okay, that makes sense.
Similar like character structures of like unexpected alliances and
Oh.
like people like changing their allegiance.
Like Zuko and
Yeah,
like Kung Lao, that stuff.
Similar world building as well.
That's cool.
It's not quite as like road trippy as maybe like because people compare Avatar to Lord of the Rings.
It's very road trippy. They move around the whole.
Yeah, because
world.
Avatar is literally like they're trying to
They're in a
move
new
around
place
to
every
train
episode,
it, to
basically.
train the Avatar.
Yeah,
Full Metal isn't quite like that,
it's okay.
but very similar. Very similar. It's been very good though. But we're finishing that up. Haley's not interested, but I want to watch Cowboy Bebop.
I want to watch Cowboy Bebop too.
I started
He
it,
thought it
got
was
like
really
3
good.
episodes in like 5 years ago, and I need to go back to it.
I want to watch a lot of those like, are those 90s anime? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
the older
even
ones.
Neon Genesis.
That's on my list too. I want to watch that one.
That's one that we started as well, and
I've heard that
we-
one's
we-
pretty crazy.
we started a lot that we were like, okay, we need to stop starting things
Yes.
because they look interesting and actually finish what we've watched,
Yes,
which I think is a common problem for.
I do that too.
It's books and anything else, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way with books. Like, I have like 3 books that I've started. I technically started Moby Dick. I got 1 chapter in. You know, it's like I'm technically reading Moby Dick.
I
Even
started Frankenstein. I'm like, I'm gonna wait till like October to start this because I wanted to be ready for like Halloween. But it's like it's gonna be probably
Yes.
take me that long to finish it, anyways.
Yes,
what you read any good?
Oh yeah,
Really good.
really well written.
Nice.
dude, Frankenstein's pretty crazy.
It's
like
so good.
Like it almost feels like it's like a superhero book. Well, not really. Like because the way Frankenstein, the monster's portrayed, he's like in like superhuman.
It's like late 1800s, right?
It's old.
Really old.
But it's very poetic too. It's like his struggle with being
There's
like
romance. There's like
How old was she when she wrote that? Like 16, something like that.
I think so. She was pretty
she
young.
was young.
It's almost like a fanfic.
I
Who
mean,
wrote that Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley.
Yeah. Like so well written.
Yeah. That is one that I do want to get around to. Is it kind of short?
I don't remember being that long.
It's a what do they call it? A epistolary novel
Yeah.
where it's all letters, like
Yes.
like
it-
correspondence,
Which is
which is what Carrie was too, I think.
yeah. So like when you read it, it's like there's like the almost like a prequel letter. It's like, what was that? And then it goes into like chapter 1, it's something else. But then it starts to come together.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not super far, like, I'm probably 2 hours into it, but
I don't remember it being that long.
it might be 4 or 5 hours total. I don't know,
So
but it's good.
I don't know if I probably never mentioned this, but Ethan and I started this project that has been very slow going since I first began it, where we're going to write you know what a cozy mystery is?
No.
So like the type of mystery books where kind of like a Murder, She Wrote,
Okay.
maybe a little bit of Columbo,
Probably chips.
even
Huh?
shows like
Chips?
even shows like Psych would be called a cozy mystery.
Oh, yeah.
I love Psych.
Where it's like it's a mystery but not a thriller.
Yeah.
It's cozy. It makes you feel good, but you're getting some plot,
Yeah.
right? Even like Agatha Christie, a lot of people think those are cozy mysteries.
Okay.
Which I think is a bit of a stretch because some of them can be a little wild.
Agreed.
But you know, they're old enough that like the subject matter in them isn't like upsetting people these days. But I love the idea of these. There's this like cozy mystery epidemic on Kindle books of like 40-year-old women who are empty nested and have nothing better to do, and they write a cozy mystery series of like 20, 30, 40 books.
Wow.
And they just like pound them out in 3 months, first draft, post it to Kindle, and people gobble them up.
Wow.
Because we all know people like that who just like inhale books. They like have an e-reader with them all the time. I saw people like that at Safeway in the break room, like taking a break from being a checker, and you have 30 minutes to eat food. You're reading a cozy mystery. And so I said to Ethan, like, we should write like a satirical one that's like funny.
That'd be funny.
And so I was like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We'll like have a Google folder, and we'll have like a notes document where we can like jot things down. And I'll write all the odd chapters, you write all the even chapters. And so I'm still not finished with chapter 1 because I haven't gone back to it since we started. But I wrote probably like 2,000, 2,500 words, and it's like some of the funniest stuff I've ever written.
Awesome.
Ethan loves it, and like I need to finish that chapter so I can hand it off to him. But the AI voice
Yes.
that I've been messing with,
The Joe Rogan
the
one.
Joe Rogan one,
Rogan.
I gotta. Have you played that for your dad?
No.
No,
No.
I've not heard of it,
Okay, so there's
but I'm very interested.
there's this service called 11 Labs
Rogan was mad at me.
where you're able to. You have to pay a monthly subscription. It's $1 a month for the first month, and then $5 after that. So I'm still in my first $1 month, and you can feed it samples of audio, preferably clean with no other voices in it, and it just makes a text-to-speech copy of that voice for you. So the more, and it's super clean. It sounds like super clean. So I went and I found a Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan episode, and I got like 5 to 7 minutes of each guy talking.
Yeah.
And I made a voice of Jordan Peterson. I made a voice of Joe Rogan. I did one for Ben Shapiro. So here's my thing for Riley that I did.
Hey Riley, it's me, your favorite podcaster, Jogan. I know you've listened to at least 0 of my episodes, if not more. So I hope what I say has some impact. I heard that you ditched on filming that lame little podcast you do with your old dad and old uncle in favor of going to see some movie or something. Shame on you. You should know better. Podcasts are everything. Podcasts are life. Podcasts are water. Podcasts are the air. Podcasts are bread. Podcasts are butter. And you should be ashamed. Think about what you've done, and maybe I'll spare you. God bless, buddy. Don't do anything crazy. In fact, don't do anything at all. Bye-bye.
That is excellent.
That
is Joe Rogan.
I went a little crazy with it for a
Wow.
while and like just kept sending things to people of like insane things that they were saying. But I downloaded an audiobook narrated by George Goodell
Okay.
who has like I think he's passed away now, but he narrated like hundreds of books. He was
Wow.
kind of like
The guy.
the guy. I don't know what word you would say to describe him, but like just like super prevalent, narrated so much. I almost guarantee you've heard his voice before, but I was like, you know what I could do? So I got like, I think you can max out at 25 samples. So I did like 25 samples of like the different tracks from this audiobook, fed it in, posted. I had to do it in multiple things because there's like a 5,000 character limit, but like I did like 3 sections and I had him narrate my chapter. And like hearing someone else like say my stupid words, like I sent it to Ethan and we were like both like on the floor laughing about it.
That's amazing.
It was so funny to us.
That's amazing.
But I mean, I could technically like play it. I don't know if you guys want to hear it or not.
Sure.
Yeah?
They're hearing that.
Okay.
Maybe Riley turn the music on.
Yeah. Probably.
I could play it on the Bluetooth speaker.
You want to do that?
There you
Yeah, that would work. I sent it to Ethan on Discord.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Can I download it? Okay, hold on. Save to files. Okay, downloads.
That's so ridiculous.
Alright, let me see if this saved.
Man, I don't even know what movie I saw that I got that. You said that. It's probably like Transformers or something.
Oh yeah, that first time that you weren't able to join us.
Mm-hmm.
Transformers?
The new one, yeah.
There's a new Transformers?
Mm-hmm. I actually really liked it.
Yeah, we
I'm like
talked
the
about
one
you
person that
whole
liked
time,
it.
Riley.
What?
We talked about you the whole time.
We did.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys decided to talk about the topics that I liked while I was gone. I was very upset.
Okay. Oh, is this it?
I mean, that'll teach you.
I know.
Okay, here we go. Alright. So it's only 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's most of the first chapter. I really need to finish it off. But I'll connect here. What is it called? EF?
It's like stereo.
Okay, that one's not working. There it is.
Yeah, EF.
I got it. It popped up now. Come on.
It's super finicky.
It's weird.
Let me try turning off and on.
So, Riley, you're disconnected?
I am.
Let me make sure my Bluetooth is off as well.
It says I'm connected.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally disconnected. So.
Okay, so if I play it,
December morning in Essex, Connecticut,
okay, here we
a
go.
man was murdered.
All right. So
Yeah, I've heard this guy in a couple books.
yeah, so let me
This is the guy that did the.
yeah, George Goodell.
Okay.
I only know him because there is an audiobook or a cozy mystery series that Mom got really into in, oh gosh, probably the 2000s actually, and she like, it was the Cat Who books.
Yeah.
She has all the audiobooks up on the shelf, and those are all narrated by George Goodell.
So, set it up again. You used AI to take George Goodell to read your first chapter of a book.
Yes.
Okay.
So this
I want to make
sounds-
sure the viewers understand what's going on here.
Yes, George Goodell, I'm pretty sure, has, retired off of this mortal coil.
But yet he lives on.
He is no longer with us. I am not going to sell this for anything. That is one thing, though, like that you have to make sure you. That's why I said like Jogan on his thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like you always have to make sure that you're letting people know that it is an AI voice. It's not the real person.
Yeah. That's
And
fair.
and whatnot. So here's chapter 1 of my thing here.
On a fresh December morning in Essex, Connecticut, a man was murdered. He was 72 years old and had no family who came looking for him. This is the story of Bernard Weber and the 2 people who fell in love several days after discovering his body behind Karen's pastry shop. This is not based on a true story. Jason Fremont's alarm rang at 6 a.m., always and forever the same, every day. Since teleporting hadn't been invented yet, Jason still had to get out of bed and walk to the bathroom every morning. However, this was a small price to pay, as the amazing things that happened in his bathroom from 6:01 to 6:18 were worth the lack of such utopian luxuries. First,
specific
a
times.
dynamic face balm, peppermint oil infused to awaken the chi and the senses, with a soft peppermint oil finish to calm the chi and the senses. Second, 3 separate lotions that did 2 different things. Third, a normal shower, with normal surfactants like Axe body wash and Herbal Essences shampoo. The grand finale could not be described with mere words, but it involves a steel wool pad and yogurt, if that gives you any frame of reference. Back to the bedroom, he donned his classic powder blue polo with the navy blue collar. As he buttoned the shirt, he could hear the serenade of David Page's voice reverberating off of his nightstand. Toto's Africa, the ringtone for his mother, Catherine.
Oh my gosh.
He dove onto his bed and picked up the call. Mom, hello. Hello, sweetie, said Catherine.
This is what threw me off. He does voices. So like he'll do a lady's voice for the mom.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I was not expecting that.
That's so
you
weird.
paid $5 a month for that?
Yeah. It's so easy.
That's crazy and it's scary and it's great all at the same time.
Oh my
All
gosh.
right, let's check it out.
And picked up the call. Mom, hello. Hello, sweetie, said Catherine. It's good to hear from you. I tried calling last night, but... Yes, said Jason. I know. I was with Tad and the guys. We were comparing stock options. You mustn't neglect your mother, especially after my diagnosis. Mom, it's just strep throat. It's painful, Jason. Have Dad get you some fisherman's friend and antibiotics. Why is this my problem? Catherine let out a sigh and continued. Sorry, dear, I've been in a tiffy lately. It's hard to plan for Christmas when you're under the weather, and it's hard enough when your only son still hasn't gotten married yet. Jason also let out a sigh and laid back onto his pillow, his biceps relaxing into the soft memory foam.
Oh, biceps.
Mom, we've been over this. Essex is a joke when it comes to women. What about Megan? She's nice, and you went to college together. Jason's biceps were no longer relaxed. I went to college with a lot of people, Mom. By that logic, I should date old Professor Stanton. I just still haven't found Miss Perfect. You know, someone who goes to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, a bit less than I do. A woman who knows how to cook and bake, but is rich enough to just DoorDash the best restaurants in town to our door so we can have time to watch Ever After together.
Oh my gosh.
That Cinderella movie with Drew Barrymore, a bit dated, isn't it? It's considered a cult classic by the people that matter, but that's besides the point. Listen, I'm doing well here. I'm making great money, and the firm might be promoting me soon. I don't want to give up what I have. Well, what you don't have is the Christmas spirit. Why won't you come back to Denver for the holidays? Your father just finished his last building design of the year. Our calendar is clear. I can't be flying, Mother. The carbon emissions, then drive. But the carbon emissions, then walk. That would take days. Jason sat up and swung the phone around, slamming his thumb onto the red hang-up button. Call ended. 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Why doesn't she understand? He shouted into the bedroom. He stood up and went to the window, peering out at the gated neighborhood below him. He was careful to shield himself, as the only thing he was wearing was the half-buttoned polo. I need to be here, he muttered to himself. I'm not sure why, but there's something keeping me in Essex this year. I don't know what it is, but it's out there. He checked his phone. He still had plenty of time to get to the office before the meeting. It's showtime. Jason Fremont was prepared to meet the day, or so he thought. Megan slept in. This wasn't typical, as she usually was up at 5 a.m. for the donut shift at Karen's shop. What also wasn't typical was Megan being fired by Karen 2 days prior. Percival stepped on Megan's face, meowing loudly in anticipation of his morning meet. Oh, Percy, Megan grumbled, and swung her hand up to bat off the cat. He leapt off the bed and trotted through the door to the kitchen down the hall. Megan sat up and stretched, the morning light silhouetting her normal figure. She checked her phone for the time. Not noticing that the time was 9:47 a.m., she opened a text that Karen had sent during the night.
And also, like, I'm trying to write this, like, kind of normal enough that, like, the cozy mystery readers would read it.
Okay.
I want, like, a plot in there.
Yeah.
So it's not just jokes all the time.
Mhm.
But, like, I am still sprinkling in, like, quite a lot of jokes.
Yes. Got it.
So, which her story starts out fairly simple, but then it gets kind of funny toward the end. But like Jason's, like I've just been like going crazy.
How does it feel to have someone else read that for you?
Something like this, it's sort of surreal.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like I find it funny because it's my sense of humor, but like it's only now like sharing it with people. Like I shared it with Haley, and she just rolls her eyes. But like Ethan got a kick out of it, but it's like he very much has my sense of humor. So it's nice to hear other people laughing at something I wrote read by a dead guy.
His biceps were no longer relaxed.
Yeah, my biceps were no longer relaxed.
Roll on.
1 a.m.,
7
she
minutes
opened
left.
a text that Karen had sent during the night. Hey, can we talk? Megan swiped the notification to reply. Sure, what's up? Placing the phone into her pajama pants pocket, she exited her bedroom and was greeted with the most intense barrage of meowing and purring around her legs that she had experienced that week. Okay, fine. I know I haven't been very responsible with feeding you. Our schedule is all off, huh? Ding, her phone announced another text. I've been struggling with a lot of life stuff recently. I lashed out and I think I made a mistake. Can you come by the shop to talk about it? Megan typed a quick reply. Of course. I'll be there in 10. The shop will be closed by then. No, not 10 hours, 10 minutes. Oh, okay, sounds good. After spilling a quick waterfall of dry cat food into Percival's bowl, Megan threw on her favorite chunky sweater, grabbed a banana nut oat bar, and bolted out the door. I'm so glad you're here, said Karen, sighing and closing her laptop lid. Believe it or not, said Megan, I value this place quite highly. She walked the rest of the way into Karen's office and sat down in the guest chair. Karen pushed herself back from her desk and looked down. Listen, she said, I reacted quickly and emotionally just last night. Tammy confessed to stealing from the cooler. It wasn't you, and I let my life get in the way of handling this properly. She paused, and Megan let her collect her thoughts. So, she continued, it's only right I let you come back, not as some side baker, though. Associate manager and a raise. It's only right, Megan. You deserve it. Megan found
There's
it
a common
difficult to hold
trope in
back a
Cozy
smile.
Mysteries is people just
You
getting like the
really think
promotion.
so?
They're either fired or
Of
they
course,
get the promotion.
said Karen, holding out a hand. Welcome back. Megan reached across to embrace her old friend. Welcome back, she said. Jason barreled through the doors to his law firm 30 minutes before he needed to be there. Whoa, said Sharon. Who are we trying to impress here? Everyone, said Jason, approaching the front desk. Meeting still on for 9:30? It sure is, and you have a memo waiting on your desk from Craig. Jason winced. Ah, no. Right before Christmas, he said. Sharon shrugged. It was a cute shrug, but it did not catch Jason's attention. Hold all my calls, said Jason. I need to work on this. He bolted through the building to his office, not hearing Sharon's call. I can't hold your calls. I'm just the office secretary. Jason opened the crumpled memo on his desk. Jason, buddy, the reports came back in and your quarter is looking great. Let's talk after the meeting today. The note was signed with the letter C. Jason recrumpled the note and tossed it into the trash where it maybe didn't belong. Yes, he shouted. Yes, take that, Mom. I'll be partner sooner than you can say Liberace can swing a... Excuse me, Mr. Fremont. Jason regained his composure and responded to the intercom on his desk. Yes, Trish. Hi, yes, Mr. Fremont. Mr. Craig here to see you. Oh, yes, great, send him in. Jason ran his fingers through his hair and relaxed in his chair, tensely awaiting Craig on the other side of the door, which swung open sooner than he was expecting. Yo, Fremont, said Craig, entering the room and examining the decor. Good to see you, man. Interesting pop culture affirmations in here, man. You've got Pulp Fiction over there. Very 90s new cinema with non-linear timelines, okay. But then, on the south wall here, you have a poster for Pride and Prejudice. It's not even the 2005 one that everyone knows. It's the 1940 release with Laurence Olivier as Mr. Darcy. You're an enigma, Jason. Well, said Jason, I like to surprise. Keep things down to earth, but be unexpected. I'm sure you're the same way, right, Craig? Craig flipped Jason's guest chair around and straddled it like an insecure cowboy. Not at all, Fremont. I wish I had your confidence and charisma. Hell, my name is Craig. Wait, what? Yep, said Craig, nodding defeatedly. Parents got divorced before I could properly blame them. I sometimes wonder if I was their final argument. Oh, great. Let's name him the same thing twice. Our last name is a first name. It'll be funny. I hate you. Oh, that's hilarious. I hate you, too. Jason shrank into his seat, uncomfortable and intimidated by his boss's insecurities. Are you intimidated by my insecurities? Asked Craig. No, of course not, said Jason. I'm just tired. My mom called me this morning, gave me a huge guilt trip for not coming home for the holidays. I told her that I needed to stay here for ephemeral reasons. Whew, good thing you're staying, said Craig. We need you to work on the Peterson case while the others are on holiday. That sounds great, but also bad, said Jason, leaning out of the window meaningfully. I wanted to enjoy the Christmas atmosphere without thinking about automobile accidents. This case is a real downer. Yes, yes, said Craig, also leaning out of the window meaningfully. 3 casualties and a notable vehicle company that must pay. Not exactly Jimmy Stewart and hot chocolate, is it? What's hot chocolate? Asked Jason. Craig smiled, patting Jason on the arm as he stood to leave. I'm sure you'll find out soon enough, he said. But in the meantime, take a look at the Peterson data and give me a status report by the 23rd. But that's 2 days away, shouted Jason. I know, said Craig, who stood behind Jason. I'm glad you know your calendar days, Fremont. I'm expecting that report. Jason sat deflated in his office chair. Craig walked over and reached into his jacket pocket. Here, a little pick-me-up before the meeting. Craig held a small bottle the size of a liquor shot over to Jason. Hey, what's this? Said Jason, taking the liquid from
He starts
Craig's
talking
soft
really
hand.
weird all of a sudden.
Got this from the internet, said Craig, folding his arms in a power stance. Infused with CBD and microaltioids. You had me at infused, said Jason, opening the bottle and downing the contents in one swig. This will give you ultra focus and super intellect in the meeting, said Craig. Just what you need to succeed in business. Awesome, said Jason, bolting up from his chair with a shaky smile on his face. I can do the business success. Yes, said Craig, who left the room slowly and slammed the door behind him. Jason remembered the case and swiped his hands across his desk, flinging his papers and various trinkets to the floor before him. Damn it, he swore. They don't realize how much I hate car stuff, and I'll never tell them why it's a significant part of my past. He checked the time. The meeting was imminent. It's showtime. Megan pressed random buttons on the cash register until the drawer opened. Okay, I think I've got it. Well, you just made a $4 billion sale that I'll have to erase from the bookkeeping ledger, but I'm glad you found the till lever. Megan sighed, her shoulders sinking.
$1 billion.
Sorry, Karen. I'm just new to this responsible stuff. Clearing out the register and storing the money in the safe seems like a big deal, and I don't want to screw this up. You're doing fine, said Karen, but let's take it slow. Maybe you can watch me. That's good, said Megan, stepping aside. Show me the ropes, boss. 3 minutes later, the next customer walked into the shop, or it should be said, barged in. Oh, no, muttered Megan, turning away. You know him? Asked Karen. I know him enough. Cover me on this one, all right? Before Karen could respond, the belligerent man had approached the register and began speaking. Oh, yeah, hey, it's me. I can't believe this has happened. But, well, here we are. Everything all the time right now. I was there, now I'm here and no job. But that's neither... Megan, it's you, Megan. I remember. I don't know what. Megan turned to face her college classmate. Hi, Jason, she said. What exactly happened? Well, said Jason, stumbling around the counter, it's like this.
And that's it. So that's what I have so far. So the idea is that Craig gave him something that made him mess up and get fired because Craig didn't want him to get promoted and have competition. And then it's going to flash back to the scene of him in the meeting, like messing up and getting fired. Which there's a line in that section that I wrote, which I really think is funny, which is his first line that he says is, "All right, everyone, this quarter might as well have been a dime as far as I'm concerned. 10 out of 10. And then he barges in, like kind of like drunk or whatever it was that the guy gave him, and then like meets Megan again. And then they go outside and they find the dead body, and that's the end of chapter 1.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what I got. It's stupid. I think it's hilarious, and I hope people read it.
But it's also like super interesting.
You think so?
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
the narrator, like what's going on next? What's gonna happen next?
I'm glad you guys feel that way.
I'm serious. Like it's yeah.
Like I'm hitting all of the tropes
Yep.
That like even like Hallmark movies do this,
Yep.
where it's like, oh yeah, I'm a woman and I'm the I'm the third in command at this greeting card company.
Yep.
And oh no, there's my that guy I don't like from college is back in town,
Yep.
and he's here for Christmas, and then I'm gonna visit with my parents, and they're gonna guilt me about here, I'll put this back. We can reconnect.
Okay.
They're gonna guilt me about not having a man.
Yep.
And it's like, Mom, I don't need a man. I have my job and my cat. It's like I'm just hitting all of the beats.
But people will align with it.
I hope
appreciate
so.
that.
I hope
Yeah.
they'll inhale
They'll
it
be like,
and
yes, that's me.
and
Yes.
laugh at the same time. Hopefully, I don't know. Like I feel like I hope I'm not being like too dense, but this at the same time, like also one of the things that Ethan and I came up with is like we want Jason's job to like randomly like not have any consistency.
Yeah.
Like we want to have like plot holes.
Yes.
Like at later on down the road, because in the thing, I don't even know if you guys noticed. Craig said he wanted to talk after the meeting, and yet he came in before the meeting.
Oh, I didn't
And
realize
it's just like we want to sprinkle all kinds of stuff like that in. Like halfway through the story, he'll just be saying like, "Yeah, I work for like an insurance company," whereas it said he walked into the office of his law firm.
Right.
And just make it inconsistent and see if anyone notices. Just to have fun with it.
People will not notice.
I mean, you guys didn't.
No. That's funny.
Do we want to turn on any lights?
We can.
We have those ones. It'll help because we're
How do we turn those on?
pitch black and we're about as bright as I can go.
Riley, do you want to turn those on? The light switch is right there.
Yeah.
See, the problem is I was used to filming this in winter when we had the
Right.
fire to illuminate us, and now we don't have the
We
fire.
could turn some fire on, but it's 95 degrees. Watch out for the spiders.
Well, that helps. Hey, we can see ourselves now.
Nice.
Yeah.
A little better. I can turn the light on the.
I will lower the shutter speed is what I will do. Oh yeah, there you go. That'll help, but I lowered the shutter speed. So normally you want your shutter speed, it's called the 180 rule? I don't remember what it's called. No, the 180 rule is something else from like where you put in your camera for dialogue. But if you want like fluid, natural motion in your shots, you want your shutter speed to be double your frame rate. So I'm shooting this at 30 frames per second, so my shutter speed was 60.
Okay.
And if you lower that, make the shutter speed lower, then things can, I think they look a little more like blurry when people move. It's like motion blur.
Yeah.
And when you have it super high, it's very like jittery.
Huh.
So like people who like do like sports photography, they will shoot at super fast shutter speeds, like 1/5000th of a second.
Wow.
So that they can get like, and it's like there's no movement, there's no blur.
Oh yeah,
it's
no
just like
blur.
yeah.
Just in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But then like you've seen those pictures of like waterfalls where it looks like very slushy and foggy, like the water's all blurry. That's because they shot it at a lower shutter speed. So that the shutter was open for a longer amount of time and the water moving made a blur while the shutter was open. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I started at 60, but now I'm down to like 25. But you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
As long as they can see us. Oh, dude, is this the blueberries?
Yes, I love the
I
blueberries.
love the blueberries from Scotland.
Yes.
Their song Nightmares. And Vampire.
Yep.
And Leave.
And leave.
Leave. I think it was last recording we talked a bit about the laws. And there she goes. Remember that?
Do.
You heard There She Goes?
I think so.
There she
Yeah.
goes. Yeah.
What do you guys talk about? Yeah.
Well, we were talking about because you or Ryan had referenced "So I Married an Axe Murderer,"
Yeah.
and I mentioned how that song shows up in that movie twice. Once by the Laws, which was the original band, and then a cover of it by the Boo Radleys, which we played the cover, and it's like, was it like a little more like orchestral? It's kind of like stripped back.
Yeah.
It wasn't as like jangly, guitar-y kind of thing. But yeah, that song shows up twice in the same movie, but by different people, which is kind of crazy. I've never come across that before. I've been listening to, well, on the channel, I've been reacting to Elliott Smith. Do you know him?
Sounds familiar.
Greg, you've seen Good Will Hunting?
Yes.
Yes. He did a lot of his songs are in that movie. One of which is Miss Misery, which is probably his most famous. I think it plays towards the end of the movie, and he got nominated for an Oscar for that song. And it actually wasn't even. It was supposed to be a song for his next album, and he didn't really have anything like. It was kind of like a Simon and Garfunkel situation with The Graduate.
Oh yeah.
Because with The Graduate, there's Mrs. Robinson.
Yep.
And that was a song that Paul Simon was working on that had other people referenced in it. It may have been named after like Joe DiMaggio's wife or something
Really?
like that. Yeah, because it connected more to Joe DiMaggio.
Yep.
But they changed the name to Mrs. Robinson before the song was finished so that they could just use it in the movie because there's, I think, much like with Good Will Hunting, which has like 4 or 5 Elliott Smith songs, there's
Yep.
4 or 5 Simon and Garfunkel songs in The Graduate. And Miss Misery was kind of the same thing where it was like, it wasn't really meant for the movie, but he just kind of like submitted it because he didn't have anything else to like offer that was new that hadn't been released yet.
Right.
He was like, yeah, this is for the movie, sure. And it was just something he was going to put on his next album. But listening to that, which is pretty nice. Like, singer-songwriter, just one guy with a guitar kind of stuff, but like some pretty good music. Pretty great. And then his last 2 albums, which I've heard the first one of, and then the next album I'm doing is his last one before he died. Which he was very likely murdered by his girlfriend. That's how.
Really?
Dude, Elliott Smith is like a. Much like Kurt Cobain, all those people, like he had a very interesting history and story in music, but his last 2 albums have more like orchestral stuff on them, and like still like just as good. So I might send you a couple songs and see what you think.
Okay.
But just normal guy with a guitar kind of stuff, but it's very. He's very like quiet and whispery, but like there's a lot of like angst and anger in some of his songs that kind of come through with like the way he plays the guitar, and it's like it's really cool. So you might like it.
Okay. You have to send me some.
Good Will Hunting. My boy is wicked smart. It's insane that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote that movie.
It is crazy.
Like in the movie, they played kind of young Boston tools,
Yep.
but they were able to write this thing that was like so far like beyond them.
Yep.
And didn't they get an Oscar for that? I'm pretty sure they got an
Think
Oscar for the
so,
screenplay.
yeah.
Yeah. You ever see Good Will Hunting?
Is that the one with Tom Hanks?
No, it's Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Robin Williams as a therapist.
No.
Or Matt Damon's like a genius mathematician.
Yeah, he's working as a janitor at
yeah,
Harvard or something.
I've heard. Yeah,
And-
For MIT.
I've heard about it.
And is that it?
Maybe MIT.
There's
Should be Michigan.
there's an equation that this guy writes in the hallway, and like it's so far beyond any of the students. He's like, whoever solves this gets 40 diplomas. I don't know, like passes the class or whatever. And Matt Damon is just like some janitor who likes to hang out with his friend Ben Affleck and, you know, drink beers and be hooligans. And like he's just mopping the floor and he like looks at it and he just like solves it. And they're like trying to figure out like who did it, and then he like refuses to realize his genius, and so he has to see Robin Williams as a therapist to kind of help him with his problems. And really good movie. Really good. One of Robin Williams' best performances, I think, and it's not comedic at all.
Huh, that's interesting.
In fact, some of my favorite Robin Williams performances are his not comedic ones.
Yeah.
A lot of like comedic actors in like dramatic roles are really good.
Yeah.
Like it's really weird. Like there's like the movie with Jim.
It's finally done.
It's done.
My arc with this is over.
We got more.
There's this movie, I don't know what it's called, but it's got Jim Carrey in it, and it seemed like clips of it. It seems pretty like.
There's some little nubbins in there.
Yeah, I'll do a little nubbin.
Which those will be amazing.
Which Jim Carrey?
It's just with Jim Carrey in it. It's more of a dramatic movie. I don't know what it's about, but it seems like he does a really good job with it.
Eternal Sunshine?
I think that might be it.
That's a great movie.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
So
I'll have to watch it.
What's a movie he did where he was in a restaurant, his wife gets shot, it's like a rogue bullet, comes through the restaurant, like literally her, it's intense, right? So
Jim Carrey?
No, I'm sorry. Back to Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
Her brain matter like falls on his face.
Are you talking about The Fisher King?
Yes.
I was actually going to bring that up, and I wasn't expecting you to know what that was.
And then he becomes a homeless guy.
Yeah.
He acts crazy, but he's crazy because like his wife's brain was in his mouth. It's so freaking intense.
That's a great movie, though.
It's such a great movie.
Great movie.
Like under, I don't know.
And Jeff Bridges is the DJ guy who kind of caused that, and he's the one who's sort of grappling with
I
Robin
watched
Williams.
that 20 plus years ago, so I can't speak more to what I remember, but
I saw it probably like 5-7 years ago.
such a good movie.
That's a good one. Yeah, and again, like great example of like
Comedic that's not doing comedy.
But like there were funny scenes in that movie. Like
Yeah.
he's literally completely naked in like Central Park,
Yep.
like going woof 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 woof.
Yep.
Just and you can like there's Robin Williams' penis right there,
Right there.
and it's
For everyone to see.
It's hilarious, but then you have like the moments where like he is describing what he experienced vicariously at the hands of Jeff Bridges, and it is harrowing. But that was directed by Terry Gilliam, who was
I didn't know all this. Like I maybe watched the movie 25 years ago.
because I'm into movies. I wanted
That's cool.
I wanted
That's
to
fine.
I wanted to do it, and
I've not thought of that movie since like today.
I still kind of do. I mean, you're so I say this with everybody because like, and not to say that your response right now was negative, but I have had people be like, how do you know that? Like
Yeah.
that's just nerdy. And my comeback is always like, there's something that you enjoy in this medium that you care about to that level. And like my instance with you would be like, you know M. Night Shyamalan really well.
Yeah.
Like just like I have my radar tuned to like all of that for everything.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so like I always like push back a little bit on people because it's like we all do that in some ways about the things we care about. It's just
Right.
I care about like the whole thing.
Right.
You know, like you like certain movies of a certain type, which is fine, which I'm the same way, but like I also really enjoy the whole artistic medium, and
So you would really enjoy the Universal tour
yeah,
in Universal Studios.
what I
Oh yeah.
that's something I don't know if Haley has done it.
So
but
you
we
go to
talked
Universal
about it.
Studios, and there's a tour, and it takes you in the back lot. So we did this. Like
You got to see some of the sets and stuff.
So they put you on like a, no, it's not a bus, but it's like a, Riley, what would you call it?
And it like a glorified golf cart.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
You're-
I've seen those.
And it takes you by the
It's like a tram on.
Yeah, like a tram.
So like Psycho, it takes you by the hotel and the house, and it's the exact like hotel and house that they filmed Psycho. Like it was filmed there,
Yeah.
and it's still there.
Yeah.
Like when you realize that, like it's kind of creepy. It's like, oh, like all that was filmed here.
Alfred Hitchcock stood here,
Yeah.
directing people,
You
and
go to the upper lot, and then there's like an airplane, a Boeing, whatever. The entire roof is peeled off. Homes are like desecrated.
this is far better.
Is that better?
It's drawing way better. Yes.
It stinks that first one's bad.
That's
a good cigar.
I just had to full mouth it and get it really sopping wet as well.
Yeah, that stinks though.
That's okay.
So, but it was a scene from. It was
The Boeing.
yeah, but what was the movie, Riley? It was
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds remake. Tom Cruise.
Okay.
They literally bought an airplane out of a scrapyard, cut the top of it off for the movie.
Yeah.
Like the plane crash, it's in this neighborhood. We drove through that entire scene.
That's cool.
It's super cool. It's like, this is the scene from War of the Worlds. Tom Cruise and all the other stuff.
It's crazy that they leave those. Like, how do they not run out of room? Is my question.
And there's another scene you drive through. It's this downtown, right, Riley?
Mm-hmm.
It's
like
this
a
downtown,
It's like a downtown city.
and there's a city with a clock at the top. You know what they use that for?
That's like Back to the Future.
Back
and all
to the
that?
Future.
Yeah.
It's right there.
That's in.
They used it like it, and, like you're driving through like the downtown of a whatever, but there's no people there.
Yeah.
It's these facade buildings, facade, whatever with a church, and well, not a church, but like a city hall with a clock,
Yeah.
and
The
like
clock at the top.
it's all right there.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I remember having this weird moment because I had seen the first Back to the Future maybe 3 or 4 times, and then we saw Gremlins
Oh yeah.
for the first time, within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I'd never seen it, and there's a scene happening, and it's on that road, like to the left of that city hall where he, hits the lightning
Yeah.
wire and goes back to Back to the Future. And like there's a store, and like you can see like the things on the side, and I'm like, that was the Back to the Future set. Like I can just
They reused it.
I can just see it. It's
Yep.
there. Yeah.
They've
And-
reused it so many times.
yeah. They try to like mask it, but it's pretty recognizable.
So Back to the Future, they wanted to like an atomic bomb or something to like catalyst whatever. They're like, my gosh, like that's gonna be so hard. What if you just like lightning hits like this clock tower? So that's what they went with.
They wanted to do like an atomic bomb.
They did.
Wow.
Well, that's what they said on the tour. You take the tour, but this is Universal Studios, and you're driving by like all these huge buildings, like warehouses, and inside, they're currently filming all these Universal shows, like TV shows and
Yeah.
like whatever, and it's currently happening. But they're like, oh, and also we did this here. So Jaws, we drove past that. Like here's the lake where the shark came up and he did this thing, and then like boom, it blew up, and all these like things are around it. It's all right there.
So they shot like the boat scenes in a studio.
In this back lot of Universal.
Wow.
Like they shot it there, and they just kept it. Then there's another scene where like they had this huge like blue back screen. It's like probably 3 stories high, which you can like use for whatever background, and they use that for like 2 or 3 different movies. It's right there. It's like Universal Studios. So the cool thing about doing the back lot tour is like they actually film movies, and one of the movies. Oh, what's one we saw, Riley? It's like the aliens.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, the
They filmed it
Jupiter's
right
plane they had like a little area over there with
They filmed
Jupiter's
a little
plane. It
stuff
was
there.
really sick.
It's right. It's done right there.
Wow.
It's super cool. Yeah, if you guys ever go, like I'd recommend. There's stuff to see, but do the tour. Get on the bus, you're in open air and you can go drive through. And then they do like the cool stuff, like what is it, the Fast and Furious, like
Oh yeah.
you go into
Sure.
like a warehouse, all of a sudden like you feel like you're in Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
So they make it a ride, but at the same time you're actually driving past like scenes from movies that have been done in the last however many years. Like Psycho, like the house is right there.
Yeah, and like I said,
So
like the fact
cool.
that they don't tear any of this stuff down, it's like, how do they make room for more if they're like leaving all of this stuff up?
And they reuse, like you said, a lot of it.
Sure.
That looks like the same city as like whatever. Yep, it is.
Probably makes sense as to why they CGI so much stuff, because they don't want to reuse that. Even though, like, so you know how like Vancouver is a commonly used
Yeah.
place in TV shows?
Yep.
Like watching X-Files, like I know they shot a lot of it in Vancouver.
Yep.
And I've gotten to the point where, like, if I'm watching a show and it seems like it's set in a metro city, I'm like, that's probably Vancouver. Unless it's obviously Chicago or
Right.
obviously New York, it's probably Vancouver.
And they have areas that look very much like Chicago and areas that look very much like New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, there's the deli, there's the whatever.
Right.
Nope, it's in LA.
Man. That's wild.
And then there's other sets that are very much set in Morocco.
Mm.
And you can go and visit those. So, Gladiator, Morocco.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And I had the chance to go see that when I was in Morocco, but it's like, no, we had so much to do. We didn't do that, but it would have been cool to see.
Yeah.
Because when you think like Gladiator, the scenery, it's like it's kind of deserty.
'Cause
Morocco,
yeah.
totally fits.
Because it's supposed to be Italy, right? Because doesn't it take
question.
doesn't it culminate in like the Colosseum?
Yeah, in Rome. Yeah.
Yeah, but when he's like captured and dragged through the desert, and like he's got the like Brandon's arm, but he's got to like treat it. I think a lot of that's Morocco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. And it's cheap to film in Morocco.
Well, that's the spaghetti western thing too, right?
Oh, all of his stuff.
What's his name? Sergio Leone, who made the No Name trilogy, as it's called.
Yep.
Also, Once Upon a Time in America.
Yep.
A few other things, but man, I won't lie. Like Good, Bad, and the Ugly, probably like one of the top 5 best movies
It's
ever.
so great.
It's incredible. It's so good.
Great.
It's so good.
The music, like, oh gosh, it's so hard to beat.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff.
And it was on such a budget.
Yeah.
Such a budget.
Yeah. They shot that on like pennies.
Yep.
But man, it's like what I love about it is it feels so sweeping, and it is fairly long. I think it's like close to 3
It
hours.
was a long movie.
Which by today's standards, people are kind of used to that. But like back then, that was a big deal, and I think there was an intermission in the
Yep.
middle.
Oh yeah.
But man, it feels so sweeping, even though the story is fairly small and simple.
Yep.
It's literally just these 3 guys trying to find treasure.
Yep. And not a whole lot happens. Like some things happen. They blow up the bridge, and there's a few things that happen.
They like cross paths with like the Civil War.
Yeah.
And then they just like go, like they
They keep
interact
going.
with it, and they just keep going.
Yeah.
Like things are happening around them while they're trying to find the treasure, and then just that.
Like, can we help the situation? Yeah, let's blow up this bridge because it might help.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's do that. But no, we got to move on because we're looking for treasure.
And that, honestly, like that's one. Like I could easily recommend that to like Riley.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's like, even though it was late 60s,
Oh, probably.
somewhere in the 60s, it's like
It was so old.
it's like if you're able to just handle like normal movies and you don't need to be like spoon-fed Star Wars all the time,
Yep.
like you can watch Good, Bad, and the Ugly and have a fantastic time in it with it in 2023.
So good.
Look up Ecstasy of Gold and play that. It should be by Ennio Morricone. Ecstasy of Gold, and play that loud.
So good.
So this is
Yes.
what's playing
In the background.
when I think his name is Tuco, actually, the ugly,
Yep.
rolls up against the gravestone and realizes he's made it to the graveyard where the treasure is, and there's just hundreds, if not thousands, of graves everywhere in this
Yep.
actual location. I don't know where that was, but he gets here, and like this sweeping music as he's like, there's like these great shots that are from far away that are zoomed in as he's like running through all of these things, like so happy to finally have arrived there.
So they called them spaghetti westerns. Like they were filmed in
Italy.
Italy.
Yeah.
But were some of them filmed in like Mexico and other places? Like, I don't know.
Not usually.
No, not back then. Like
Yeah.
now you would because it's cheap.
Yeah,
Back
and
then,
the expensive American westerns with like John Wayne, those were like Utah. Like the Searchers and stuff like that, that was Utah.
and
Shane.
You're right. They filmed some in Uray.
Did they?
Uray, Colorado.
Cool.
You can go there. There's like a museum.
I love to live in this part of the country because we're like, we have the West literally like in our backyard. It's so cool.
What's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance? Like they
Yeah.
literally hid treasures along the Colorado River through Colorado. We've yet to find them. Like, that's super cool.
And that's also a great movie.
Oh yeah,
Love Butch Cassidy.
so good.
You can turn it off if you want, but it's a killer song.
I've heard
It's
this song before.
So good.
It's
But yeah, good. If you haven't seen Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Riley, and it's on streaming somewhere, and you have 3 hours to kill, you're gonna be a changed man watching that. Fantastic.
I think I've watched a little bit of it, but not the whole thing.
and Clint Eastwood, like he had his like younger days where he did like all of this stuff, but then his older days he like produces stuff. And he
Yeah.
still like acts in it. He's so freaking good.
He's still directing his butt off.
He's in his like late 80s. I don't even know.
He's got to be pushing 90 at this point.
So
He
good.
he looks like a shriveled rock.
Yeah, he does. I had a patient years ago. She's like, yeah, I was up at like a lake in Colorado. There's a guy sitting there fishing with his head down with a hat on. And then he looked up. It's him in Colorado, just fishing. I'm like,
Wow.
how freaking awesome is that?
I like that he would come to Colorado to fish.
Yeah. And he's just like head down and just fishing in the lake.
That reminds me of that Tucker Carlson video of him fly fishing in New York. Have you seen that?
I have.
That's a great one. The
It's
guy has
so
no
good.
idea who he is.
No idea.
What, are you allowed to fish in here? Yeah, you can
Yeah,
fish here.
I'm good.
And he just like shows him his flies and
Yep.
he's like, yeah, I do this myself.
Yep.
He doesn't even be like, do you know who I am? He's just like a guy.
Yep. I'm just a guy fishing here.
Yeah.
Here's my flies. It's so good.
People who fly fish, like it's like people who smoke pipes or cigars. I wouldn't say cigars. That's Scarface smokes cigars. You know what I
Wow.
mean? But like, if someone fly fishes, you expect them to be a very patient, introspective kind of person.
Agreed.
Did you know that Clint Eastwood actually hates smoking?
I did not.
And
know
he
that. Even though he smokes cigars in every movie.
hated smoking the cigarellas.
Really?
Yeah, he did not.
And they were
like it at all.
cigarellas. He didn't smoke foreign cigars.
Mhm.
I agree. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, he hated it, which I find really funny. And he's a fairly like Democrat, somewhat liberal kind of guy,
Yeah.
but that's not his archetype at all.
Yep. That's so funny.
I remember seeing Unforgiven, which was his last Western. Like he very much said, like this is the last Western I'm going to act in. And
Which
he
was
direct-
it was a badass Western where he lays down, shoots him.
it was like
It was intense.
I don't know if I mean it was brutal, but it was also like there's a certain level of like glamorization that Westerns had.
Yeah.
And then there was a period of time, granted it was a bit earlier, but like the Wild Bunch, I know, did this. I haven't seen all of it yet. I tried watching it with Mom and Dad, and they were not feeling it.
Yeah.
There was like a topless boob scene as well.
Sure.
But this was like 70s.
Yep.
I think they're called revisionist Western movies.
Okay.
And Unforgiven is kind of one of those where it's like it honestly portrays the brutality of the West.
Yep.
And I remember seeing Unforgiven and being kind of taken aback at how like, ooh. I would say like the reboot of like True Grit kind of does that too.
Yep.
I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yep.
Where it's just like, oh, this is actually like kind of intense and like serious.
Did you ever see Pale Rider?
No.
Oh, you got to.
That was one of his 70s ones, I
Yes.
think, right?
It's good.
I know there's a scene in Seen It that plays with Pale Rider where he smacks everyone with a piece of wood. That's the only thing I've seen from it because it's been Seen It. But
I haven't seen Pale Rider since I was a kid, but
I haven't even seen the other two No Name movies, Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More. I have not seen those yet. Every time I remember they exist, I'm upset I haven't seen them.
yeah, gotta watch them.
Gotta get to those.
Like, I need to go back and watch them again because I watched Pale Rider when I was. So this is where Mom and Dad went to visit Dad's best friend growing up, Court Killian.
Yeah.
And he died a few years back.
Mm.
It was kind of a sad tragedy,
Yeah.
which, for Dad, a really sad tragedy.
Sure.
That was his best friend.
Yeah.
But I remember being at his house and he put on Pale Rider. And I remember watching it. I was, gosh, I don't even know.
That sounds like such a Court thing to do.
10 or 11 years old.
The one time I saw him, seeing how he looks, and like that, what you just said, like that makes complete sense to me.
So you remember him?
I saw him once. Yeah, we visited. Where do you live? Fort Collins,
I don't remember.
Colorado Springs.
I remember him living in Colorado Springs, and he was married, and then they divorced, and then he found a girlfriend, and we went to Durango and did the whole Four Corners thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, this is before you were probably born,
Yeah.
and we did like Four Corners and like
I
cliff dwelling.
know. I know. I
houses.
was at Four Corners, but I was probably under the age of 5 because there is a picture of me
Maybe
there.
you were there.
There is a picture of me there.
Maybe you were there. And gosh, it was so long ago.
I know I saw him at least once when I was in my teens
Okay.
because we went to visit.
And you might have visited when I was gone.
Sure.
That's
You may not have been
fine.
around. We went
Yeah.
to like a pizza place and
Yeah.
just hung out. So I don't know where he was. I feel like it may have been Fort Collins, but I don't know if we necessarily went there to
That
see
could be.
him.
Yeah.
Because we may have been there to see him and then like
Yep.
Bob and Kay or something like that. But yeah, I do remember seeing him in person at least one time before he passed.
So I remember seeing
Pale Rider.
Pale Rider at his house, and he lived like out in the boonies somewhere. I think outside of Colorado Springs. That was his thing. Like, I want to live out in the boonies by myself. And I remember watching that movie. And, yeah.
Is it a little more like brutal, kind of like a Wild Bunch
It's
thing?
a little gritty, like.
'Cause that was in his like Dirty Harry era.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, I remember like there's a scene where like they're at a river and there's a big guy there, like they're trying to find gold, and some guy just like hits this rock with a huge sledgehammer or something. Boom, busts it open. Boom, there's gold inside of this rock in a river. And then like some young girl's trying to like, she's trying to get on with him, and he's like, you know. But then he moves on because he's a Pale Rider, right? He's like, I'm not gonna sit and like, you know, make a, you know, relationship
That's
or
the,
marriage with someone else. Yeah.
That's the typecast Clint
Yep.
Eastwood character, right?
Yep. Yep. I mean, honestly, that's all I remember. But that was so long ago. I'd watch the movie again.
There's a few like obscure westerns that I didn't even realize existed until recently. Like I just discovered there's a movie called Hombre with Paul Newman in it.
Paul Newman.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily gritty, but I know it seems a little more like I think it's a more like American movie, kind of like,
Okay.
a John Wayne, but it's, I think, from the 70s, 60s or 70s. And it has Paul Newman in it, and it's apparently pretty good. I didn't even know it existed. And
Interesting.
yeah, I like discovering, like, I haven't seen it yet, but I like learning about areas in, like, any kind of medium of, whether it's music, movies, TV shows, where it's like, ooh, something that I would probably
What's that?
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Haley and I just recently watched When Harry Met Sally,
Oh yeah.
which was fantastic.
Yes.
We love that a lot.
You gotta watch it.
I thought it was going to be way more, I wouldn't say slapstick, but kind of like Dumb and Dumber, kind of dumb humor. And
Nope.
I was, because the only frame of reference I had was the diner scene where
The
she
one
fakes
scene.
the orgasm.
Yep.
But while we were watching it, I was doing like some like research on the phone. It was directed by Rob Reiner,
Yep.
who directed Princess Bride,
Oh yeah.
and I think that's also he directed This Is Spinal Tap.
Mm-hmm.
Both of which had Billy Crystal, so I
Yep.
think that's why Billy Crystal was in this.
Yeah. It's not to be. They're all Jewish guys,
Yeah.
which is so funny.
Yes.
More power to them.
I mean, like, you run in your circles, you run in your circles.
Mm-hmm.
The script was written by Nora Ephron,
Yep.
who wrote Sleepless in
She
Seattle
wrote so much.
with Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan.
Yep.
I think she directed that one as well. Wrote and directed You've Got Mail,
Yep.
Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. Wrote and directed Julie and Julia.
Yep.
She passed away. I think she was only like 60, and that was her last thing she did.
fine.
But I was like, okay, so wait a second. Like, there was, I mean, obviously Joe versus the Volcano was like one of the, I think it may have been the first Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan one, and then
One of my
Sleepless,
favorite movies.
and then Sleepless. I can't remember which came first, but
Sleepless came after.
it came after.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so, but I was like, as I was watching and like reading all that, it's like I wonder if like Tom Hanks like was maybe considered for When Harry Met Sally, because there's so many other connections with Nora
It
Ephron
could be,
later.
Yeah.
Literally the next day, I look up When Harry Met Sally on like my search to like check on like some thing I was thinking of, and there was a series of news articles that had been posted 2 days ago about Tom Hanks talking about why he turned down When Harry Met Sally.
Wow.
He just talked about it, and people had just started posting about it when I looked it up. And I don't remember exactly why he did, whether he thought it wasn't a good fit for him or he was too busy or whatever, but like, he was actually considered to be Harry
That's funny.
instead of Billy Crystal.
Instead of like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's so funny.
But apparently Billy Crystal helped contribute like lines for the movie that he thought were funny that he thought Harry would say,
Yep.
which I think really helps, because when you have a script written by a woman and then the guy character is helping with his own lines,
Here's what you can do this.
I think that really helped the movie, because watching it, it felt like Annie Hall, where it's like I'm just seeing like a slice of life of these
Yeah.
people interacting. It's just casual. They're having
Yeah.
normal, completely normal conversations, and it feels like I'm like a voyeur watching them.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't expecting that kind of a movie. I thought it was going to be more of a direct comedy, but it was very down to earth and subtle.
Agreed.
But it was very good. We were very pleasantly surprised by that one. I still haven't seen Spinal Tap.
I've never watched it.
I don't know, like, I tried starting it, and the musical sections were a bit much for me.
Interesting.
It's not like, I've seen the It Goes to 11 scene,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and I've seen a couple other like clips on YouTube of them talking like in the back room behind the stage or whatever, and it's really funny. But I'm like, I feel like I need to like get in the right headspace to like enjoy that kind of movie, and I don't know if I'm there yet.
Yeah, I get that.
Do you know that that main actor, the main guy in the band who says, but it goes to 11, that's the same actor who plays the six-fingered man in Princess Bride.
Really?
Yes.
What?
Same guy.
What?
He's married to Jamie Lee Curtis and has been for decades.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They look like, when you stop and like look at the guy from Princess Bride and you're like, okay, without a mustache,
Yep.
I can kind of, and without, maybe he has a beard, I don't remember, like I can kind of see it. But like they look like two completely different people to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Granted, Billy Crystal does not look like Billy Crystal in Princess Bride, so
No.
there's that.
He looks like everybody else.
He looks like a wrinkled grape. That's my little When Harry Met Sally tangent. I've already seen Annie Hall, but I'm going to probably watch that next with Haley since she enjoyed When Harry Met Sally so much. That's kind of a...
She liked it.
She liked it a lot, yeah. Probably more than I did. But I think she might enjoy Annie Hall as well. Woody Allen is crazy. That dude makes like a movie every single year.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with.
Riley, do you have the guillotine?
Yeah, that's alright. It's hot.
Have you seen any Woody Allen movies? Like Annie Hall? Manhattan? Midnight in Paris?
I don't think so.
Blue Jasmine is another one.
No.
He's if you've seen Annie, it would probably be Annie Hall. I'd bet. But that dude, man, that's like kind of like Larry David, the Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Like you see Woody Allen, it's like, oh, there's the cynical, pessimistic Jewish guy from New York.
Yeah.
It's a strong taste. So I don't know. There's kind of two phases to his filmography. There's like all the 70s and 80s stuff that like like all the stuff he made that he was also in, and then there's like all the more modern stuff that he made that he's not in, like Midnight in Paris. Do you know about that movie?
I've heard of it.
It has Owen Wilson in it. He is, I think, in Paris with his fiance, and they're planning their wedding, or they're on their honeymoon. I can't remember. And he just like goes, like he's kind of like disillusioned with his in-laws who are also around, and he just kind of like feels like he needs to he just wants to go like walk the streets of Paris.
Okay.
So he goes out at midnight or whatever, and is walking through, and he just travels back in time and gets to meet characters like Hemingway and Picasso and stuff like that.
That's cool.
He meets like a woman from that era and kind of like falls in love with her a little bit, and it's pretty decent.
Okay.
It's very kind of like When Harry Met Sally, just sort of slow,
Right.
calm, slice of life kind of movie. Which I'll admit, not everyone is into that kind of a movie, because a lot of people think that is boring. Because it's like, if you're not tuned into like just really nice, natural, witty dialogue, not a ton of cuts, not a ton of action,
Right.
but not a lot of people are like that.
Agreed.
I remember trying to introduce Chrissy and Travis to several different movies. One of which was, what's it called? Before Sunset? Before Sunrise? It was a movie with Ethan Hawke and some other 90s actress that I'm forgetting her name.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Before Sunrise?
There was a trilogy.
What's that called?
All with the same actors and director. Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke. Before Sunrise.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah. Watch that.
Very much a similar thing, right? Just
Yep.
people talking.
Yep.
Just two people like,
Like a really long, dialogue.
Yeah.
movie.
Yep, long takes of them just chatting.
Nothing actually happens.
Yeah.
Not much.
But I brought that over and started watching it with them, and they turned it off because they were bored.
Who turned it off?
Christy and Travis.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't their speed. I was like loving it, and they were just like eh. And like I said, I get people like not being dialed into that, but like I wish more people were, because I enjoy calm, slow, introspective stuff that kind of examines relationships and life and muses on things.
It's not you don't have explosions and things happening, and
Not a ton of jokes, not a crazy plot.
it's a long form conversation.
Yeah, and things like that, like when Harry met Sally, like nothing happens.
No, there's no big things that happen.
Some people break up, some people get together, and then they get together. Like it's just that.
Yeah.
But like
That's it.
you want to keep watching because you love the words they're saying and how good the acting is.
Yeah, agreed.
And some people just aren't tuned into that. They need like other things cranked up a little bit.
Yep.
And I mean that it all kind of comes down to what you want out of your art, right? Like, do you want to be entertained? And what exactly does it mean for a
What does that
person to
mean?
be entertained?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when we were talking to Ryan, like realizing, oh, what you want out of movies is not always what I want out of movies. Like, you're almost exclusively that way. And
Yep.
I am not exclusively that way.
Right. And I would say my genre is like bigger than that. But at the same time, it's like currently, everyone's talking about the movie. What's it called? Like the Freedom? No,
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
That's why I pointed at your shirt. Because it's about human trafficking.
And I've donated to their cause for probably 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie I watched was Operation Tucson,
Okay.
which was an actual
Was it like a documentary?
documentary.
Okay.
They go into a country, I won't say the country, and they rescue 20 plus kids, which is like, it's hard not to like tear up thinking about it.
Yeah.
So this new movie, like, it's that on steroids.
And that's why you're like, I don't want to.
I'll watch it on streaming in my own home,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to go to the theater because like I don't think I can handle it.
You know, that's we were talking about, because Mom and Dad brought up the movie. We were at Applebee's together recently, and we brought up the movie. They brought up the movie, and I was talking a little bit about because we were talking about Jim Caviezel
Yeah.
and how they're kind of working on getting the next Passion movie going, which I think they might be filming, or at least in like pre-production.
That's awesome.
And Mom had this like reaction to me bringing up Passion of the Christ that was like, I sympathized with it, but I also found it kind of strange how she worded it. She more or less said like she didn't want to see it because she didn't feel like she needed to, because like the passion of Christ was like such an already overwhelmingly intense thing for her that she didn't feel like she needed extra to make her feel more convicted or like grateful or thankful for what Christ did. And I'm like, I sympathize with that, because that's also kind of why I haven't wanted to watch it, because I already struggle with excessive gore.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that it is a valuable movie. I'm glad that it was made. I'm glad that people have been able to see it and enjoy it. At this point, I feel like it would be like what you were just saying, like it would be a difficult watch for me for a lot of reasons. Does that mean I shouldn't watch it? I don't know. That's a different question. Mom's reaction was almost like it shouldn't have been made, or like her inflection was like, why would anyone want to watch that? And I'm like, I know why people would want to watch that, even though it's very difficult to watch. So that's just what I wanted to bring up, because it made me think of that.
Watching it. So Dad went with us to the movie theater years ago to watch it.
Yeah.
And
It's like the last half of the movie, isn't it?
it's so hard to watch.
Yeah.
Riley, have you seen it?
Passion of the Christ?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
I appreciate that they.
As a Christian, like, I almost say like you have to watch it, but at the same time, like, if you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you don't need to watch it, but it changed our culture.
I was.
In this new movie, like, Andrew's like, let's go watch it. I'm like,
It's a lot. It's a lot. Well, it's.
we have a 7-year-old child.
Hmm.
You can't imagine.
I mean, I'm right there with you on that one.
Right.
Also, it's like, is this entertainment, right? You know, it's like, what am I gonna get out of viewing this thing?
Like, I get it.
Mhm.
Like, it's hard. But I think people that don't get it, you've got to watch it.
Sure. And I mean, I'm still like conflicted about like, should I see Passion, you know, just because like I already feel like I've heard sermons, like Heritage Church, pastor at the time, I remember him doing a sermon on the crucifixion, and like went into detail about like what that execution was like, and like that was a life-changing sermon for me.
Right.
And I'm like, I went from being like, maybe I should see Passion to like, I don't know if I can handle Passion.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because it's like I understand it and like feel it so deeply to my core that I don't know if I need extra. You know what I mean?
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But
pretty
I think
gory.
that some people do. Like, they need that
Sure.
intensity, right?
I'm curious as to how The Chosen is going to handle it. Because that I mean, obviously that's a bridge they're going to have to cross at some point. What's crazy, like I was talking with Haley about this because we were talking about the Sound of Freedom movie, and we talked about Passion a bit, and I was like, you know, like, was Passion made by like a big studio at the time? Like, how did Passion happen? That seemed like literally a miracle in Hollywood. And I was like, was there a big company behind this that distributed it to theaters? And we looked it up. It was almost an indie movie.
Yep.
It was made on 30 million.
Yep.
The production company and distributor, I didn't even recognize their names.
Yep.
But it was just this phenomenon that people wanted to see and theaters picked up. And I'm like, I can almost guarantee you that the new movie, Resurrection, is going to do the exact same thing. And theaters are not going to say no to tickets and butts in the seats. So, like, guarantee you that Resurrection will...
Is there a new movie coming out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is it by the guy that made Chosen?
Yeah, Mel Gibson.
Wait,
Mel Gibson directed Passion of the Christ.
but not The Chosen though.
No.
No.
Wait,
it's-
so hold on. Is Mel
so-
Gibson making a new movie, or is it the guy that made Chosen making a movie?
The guy, Mel Gibson, is making a sequel to Passion of the Christ. With
'Cause
Jim,
I know he directed.
Yeah, with Jim Caviezel.
Jim Caviezel.
Who's the guy in the new movie as well? And he played.
And no one would
Jesus.
produce
yes.
that for him. Like, he was, like, Mel Gibson was on his own.
Isn't?
And it was so
like Catholic or
phenomenal.
something?
Mhm.
He raked in so much cash.
Yeah.
It's unprecedented.
So wait, why are they making a sequel to the Crucifixion? Are they just retelling the story or something?
No, so it's called Passion of the Christ: Resurrection is kind of the title of it. But it's literally just all of the events of Christ after the crucifixion.
Okay.
And Mel Gibson, now that he's been kind of uncanceled for whatever reason, has been on like talk shows, like even on like Colbert. Like Colbert asked him about this, which credit to Colbert.
Yep.
Like he immediately likes to talk about religion on a show because he's a Catholic for whatever it's worth. Asked Mel like, how's the Passion sequel going? And he's like, it's happening. We're kind of going back and forth between two scripts, one of which is very, very similar to the first movie, very grounded, simple kind of stuff. And then we have one that's almost like experimental, because like all of the weird things that happen with Jesus, like, you know, descending into the underworld, all of the, because like that whole story post-crucifixion with Jesus is very supernatural.
Oh yeah.
And so he's like, we're not quite sure how to tell the story. Like, do we go straight forward or do we get weird with it? And it seems like they finally kind of like found their footing and they're moving forward with it. But it's pretty much produced just by Mel Gibson and Jim Caviezel.
Wow.
But Passion was the #1 highest grossing R-rated movie of all time until Deadpool. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, that's how many people wanted to go see it. And it's like, Resurrection, that's going to do the same thing.
Like
People are not going to
watching
forget.
that movie, like, I was in the theater, like, Dad sitting next to me, Andrew's there, like, it was so freaking intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to describe.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's like when movies become kind of, for lack of, I mean, this isn't a great way to describe it, but like when they become art, right?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how I feel about like my favorite movie being 2001. It's not super watchable, and anyone who hates it, I completely understand, because a lot of people find it boring and dull and dumb and don't get it. But like, same thing with Passion. It's like it makes you think, it puts you in a certain place that is uncomfortable and does something to you.
Yep.
And it's like, for pictures and sounds to achieve that is great. And
It's great.
the fact that so many people went to go see that in the theater, I think, was very important. And that was like 2003, something like that.
It's a long time ago.
So like, this has been like 20 years since then. But I don't know, like, if the sequel like is considered worthwhile, it's like I'd be really convicted to like watch both of them.
I would encourage that. Which, it's hard.
I'm not against it. I'm not eager. You know.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
It's hard.
Yeah, but these days we've been going through and watching like miscellaneous Disney movies that the kids haven't seen yet, like Lilo and Stitch and Rescuers and stuff like that. And we did Tarzan, and like Tarzan made me well up a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm like, what kind of putz am I? like seeing like
It's okay.
the mother come across like the dead parents, and then the mother ape, and coming across the dead parents and her child dying, and like coming across Tarzan, and I'm like, this is touching me in a way that like my childhood self couldn't care less about.
Yeah.
And it's like just these themes of parenthood and like protecting innocence. It just really strikes home.
Interesting.
Yeah. There was a scene in a movie I watched recently. I haven't finished it because I had to kind of take a break from it. There was a scene in a movie, Under the Skin. Do you know that one?
That one with Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson, yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I think I know what it's about.
Yeah,
Did she have like a bomb in her or something?
I don't know. I haven't finished it.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know.
But she's like some kind of like weird alien creature who like seduces men and like kills them for some reason.
Oh, never mind. It's a different movie.
I don't know. It's a really like experimental movie, but I heard it was good. And like there was a scene involving like a family on a beach, that like with like a toddler, and like I don't want to like spoil anything, but like the scene pretty much ended with like the toddler being like abandoned, crying on the beach, like with no one to rescue it. And like after that scene, I was like, I need a like a break from this movie because like it was such a hard scene to watch.
Oh.
Looking it up online, that scene has like hundreds of thousands of views, and all the comments are like, this is like one of the most difficult scenes to watch I've ever seen in a movie. And I was like, I'm glad I'm not the only one who. And it's like, it's not even necessarily super violent. It's just a really hard scene to watch, like a toddler being abandoned on a beach with no one to come rescue it. And I was like, I can't, I can't
And
do
you've got
this.
toddlers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the innocence of kids. It's like I feel that so deeply now. I can't stomach certain things anymore.
I don't know why, but Kung Fu Panda 2 made me cry. when Poe gets left by his mom.
I haven't seen the second one. I've only seen the first one.
You might cry because I cried when I first watched it.
Hey, if you cried, I probably would be a train wreck, dude.
Because because in it touches on Poe's backstory, and his mom has to leave him because she's trying to protect him from like raiders and stuff, and she has to like leave him, and like, it's okay, and like because he's a baby, so he doesn't understand what's going on. And he starts crying as she runs off, and like distracts him. It's really sad. Like every time I watch it, I feel like
once you become a parent, like everything changes.
yeah,
It really does.
And like I'm, as stoic as they come. In fact, like most of my like teen and adult life, I've been like an emotionless void. But like once you become a parent, man, like certain things, it
Changes.
changes you.
It does. It does.
And like to some degree, like I'm happy to feel those kinds of emotions. Like especially movies. Like we watched the 1950s Christmas Carol.
What?
It was recommended by Andrew Clavin
Okay.
because he recommended like 3 or 4 Christmas movies.
Okay.
One of which was The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant.
Never seen it.
That was actually pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. And then we saw A Christmas Carol with, I can't remember his name, Alistair something plays Scrooge. But like, just super solid adaptation of the movie, of the story. The scenes with the different ghosts are very like eerie and intense. But then like when he comes back, he's like this guy's performance is so good. He's like filled with joy, and like the whole final part of the movie, I was like fighting back tears and it was like that good feeling of like it's like it's a wonderful life. Like when you watch it and you're just like life is so beautiful and so good.
Wow.
And it was a very moving experience to see that. Man, Christmas Carol, It's a Wonderful Life, like such good stories.
That's cool.
So good. Muppets Christmas Carol has not made me cry yet.
But it's so good. I love
Michael
it.
Caine is
I love
great.
it.
I love Michael Caine.
Michael Caine, he does such a good job.
I always love watching it. What time are we at? 2:25.
Right about there.
Are you winding down?
I'm good for whatever.
You're good for whatever.
Yeah.
You go to work in the morning? Did you say?
I don't work in the morning.
Don't work in the morning.
I work in the afternoon.
Is Monday often like a 1 p.m. for you guys? Is that what you do?
So I go in at 1 p.m.
Okay. Is Wells in at 9?
Yep.
Okay. You let him take the earlies.
Not by design, but it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Do you typically pay your other chiropractors hourly or like salary?
So they're hourly. Partly because I have to, based on Colorado law.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
If
I
they-
didn't know how you structured it at all.
Yeah, I used to do salary, but I have to do hourly. And it's fine. It works out.
Just
Yeah.
yeah, ever since you kind of changed to the, walk-in structure, I was curious as to how you did your scheduling and all that.
Yeah. It's pretty much when we're there, we're there. Come in and see us. And I pay Dr. Wells based on what he does.
Mhm.
And it works really well.
That's
honestly, yeah. It's been good.
So I am ready to start doing serious editing on the commercial. I just still need the whatever text you want me to have on it and the
Yeah.
graphics and all that.
I'll get that to you.
No rush. I have to go up or go down to Placerville near Telluride on Tuesday
That's cool.
to shoot a cabin down there.
Really? Placer Road?
Placerville.
Yeah.
Like a $1.5 million cabin. So I have to go down there really early. I'm charging for like travel fee and like my twilight photography rate because
Yep.
it's going to be, she wants like sunrise photos.
Yep.
She's like, sunrise or sunset? I'm like, well, if it's sunset, then I'll be back home by like midnight. So probably not that.
Yeah.
But the sunrise is like at 7:15 or so. It's like it's like 2 hours to get down there. So,
Oh yeah.
but
That's cool.
yeah, that'll be fun.
We're leaving pretty early.
Yeah. I think you know her actually, Valerie Seiler.
The name's over here.
It said you were a mutual friend on Facebook.
Yeah. Yep.
Is writing a good way to, like, is that a good creative outlet, you think?
What do you mean by writing?
Like if you get like a lot of like ideas or like things on your mind, like creatively, is that a good way to like get it out, I guess? I don't know how to explain that.
Like, do you mean like, because you could write anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, like book-wise, but just like, I don't know, like short stories or something, or...
Do you feel that way?
Well, I got a lot of pent-up creativity and like just ideas
Oh,
and
no.
things, but I don't know how to get it. Like, I don't know like, how to do anything with it.
Well, have you like done much poetry after your class?
Not really, no.
Really? Do you want to do more of that?
I don't know. Like poems are nice, but they're really short though. It's like I almost want to tell like a story, you know?
Okay. I mean, do you have story ideas?
Yeah.
You could try.
There you go.
Yeah.
I would suggest, in my case, when I wrote my novel, I kind of tried to, because like I didn't have the opportunity to like read a ton of stuff beforehand, which is always the recommendation where it's like if you want to write well, you need to read a lot, which I think is true. But I just took like one of my favorite books, Fahrenheit, and just kind of tried to I reread the whole book as I was getting into like actually seriously writing my novel, and just kind of like looked at how it was written, the type of phrasing, the words that were used,
Yeah.
and was like, okay, like I don't want to emulate it, but I want it to like lead me in how I want to write.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if you have a story idea, start writing it, but also, like, revisit some of, like, your favorite books or writings that have, like, stuck with you and, like, you really like for some reason.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say, like, emulate it, but, like, let that, like, lead you into how you want to write your other stuff, because it helps to just, like, have some kind of, like, framework to sort of push you in a certain direction with your writing. But yeah, if you have, like, story ideas, like, I first started trying to write stories for, like, publication with, like, magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, like, I read you that one I did about the cat.
Yeah.
Like, that was just an idea I had, and I just wrote it down. There's a longer one I had about a guy who thinks a bomb is going to drop, and so he tries to drive all the way up to Canada to flee from it. And that was like a short story idea I had, and I wrote that one down. That was like 12, 13 pages long. But if you have ideas, it's very easy to find writing to be work. Because as soon as you start writing, you're going to want to be like, I want to make it good. But sometimes just getting that first draft down and getting, like, a full story out is half the battle. Because I don't know if you were like this with your poetry, but, like, it's very easy to feel like as you're writing something that you need to correct it as you're writing it.
Yes.
And like make it perfect so that when you're done, it's just done.
Yeah, that's what I did
And
sometimes.
I have fallen prey to that so many times, and I've come to realize, like, you know, I need to get my first draft done. I need to get the whole thing out, even if it's, like, patchy and doesn't fully work, so that I at least have it all the way down, and then it's way easier to just go in and, like, fix things and, like, tune it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would suggest trying that.
Okay.
Have you done any kind of, like, short story writing at all?
No, just with my class. Like, just do that.
Okay.
And not, like, after that, though. It's just, like, I got, like, a lot of cool ideas, you know, and, like, not, like themes or settings or just, like, I don't know, just, like, kind of scenarios and stuff, and I'm like, that'd be a cool, like, epic, you know, or something like that.
Sometimes you can just, like, jot some stuff down, like, write half of a chapter, and, like, that might be all you have.
Yeah.
But just writing it might, like, lead, like, you're at that point, and then from then on you're like, you know, just day-to-day life. Like, I did this at work. Like, I'd be working at Safeway, and just all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, that's an interesting idea. I could do, like, I could have that happen, and then, you know, this guy does this. And that's kind of how the first parts of my book started.
Yeah.
And then once I got the ball rolling and thought about it enough, I'm like, I know how I want the rest of this to go. And then I sat down and actually, like, did the work and made a book out of it. But yeah, there's no harm in making stuff, even if you don't finish it, even if you don't share it with anybody. If you feel compelled, I would say follow the compulsion.
Okay.
Had a interesting thing happen today. I've been working on my third album, technically. Well, it's technically like my fourth, but I don't like to talk about my first one. Working on my third album, and it's my philosophy behind it has been like, I'm just gonna kind of like lazily make it, lazily produce it, mix it, and then just kind of post the songs as I make them, and just kind of post them as like their own singles. So like every song from the album is like a single.
Yeah.
And then once I have enough, my thought process is like every album, every song has its own original artwork. Like I showed you, like the sailboat and all that. Like once I have enough to make like a grid, I will then have the grid be the artwork
That's cool.
for the album.
That's super
with
cool.
the name of the album like on all of the artwork.
That's super cool.
So I was thinking like, okay, I could do a 3x3 and that would be 9 songs. But I'm already to like 8 songs, and I'm like, I feel like I still have more. So it's like the next one up would be 4x4, which is 16.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay,
Yeah, 16 songs.
I need to get 16 songs in. I think I'm still at 8 or 9, and I've just been in this like inspiration rut. Like I have not been able, like granted, like life has been like busy and hard, and
Yeah.
it's just been difficult to feel inspired and like sit down and write something. But like recently, like Haley and I have been doing like a lot of like talking about like life stuff, where we're at, like where we want to go, our parenting strategies, and just, you know, not feeling like we're constantly just barely keeping our head above the water in a lot of ways. And working on a lot of personal stuff. And I felt inspired again. And I've been like working on a song, first one since that sailboat one that I did, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe more. It's hard to say. I don't remember when I came out with that one, but it's been a while. And like I feel good about it. I've been making some progress on it. And today, because today is like supposed to be like our rest day, so like, you know, Haley let me come here to rest and all that, and then I let her like do whatever she wants for a couple hours. So she went to like the park to kind of be by herself and pray and all that. And when she had come back, she asked me like, so like, are you feeling like inspired? Like, have you been working on like your music very much? I'm like, a little bit. And she's like, I feel like you should keep doing that. I feel like you should keep working at the music. And I'm like, well, I've kind of started to feel inspired again. So, and she's like, I think you should keep pursuing it. I'm like, okay. I don't know where that is coming from, but
That's cool.
it seems like you maybe have some kind of inclination, and I'm not gonna say no to that. So
That's cool.
yeah.
By the way, my friends like your music a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. They've been like, really, your Uncle Alex makes very good music.
Oh, thank you. How much have they listened to?
I don't know. I think I know Aiden's listened to the one with the sailboat, and then I just had another friend say that he liked your music. He didn't say like what specific song. I'm assuming it's probably that song, but he said he likes your music.
Yeah, the last 2 songs that I've done for that album, which was that one and then the one before, people like keep talking about. Like they keep bringing it up to me that they really like them.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm like, thank you. Like I
But is that Layover? Is that the other?
no.
Okay.
So the one with the sailboat is called Iconium.
Yeah, and then what was the other one?
Long title, but like it problem I have with titles is like if they don't come to me right away, I have to like sit there and like think about what I want the title to be, and I have a hard time writing lyrics to a song I don't have a title for. But the title for the one before was like really tricky, and I couldn't quite figure it out, and so I had it as. The song started as like kind of a vibe. Like I had the chord progression, I had like the riff that plays at the end, and I was like, what does this make me feel? And it's like, it makes me feel like I'm sitting outside of like a cottage in a meadow with a forest around me while I'm like smoking and just kind of like thinking about life and like longing for some peace and like something better and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can't think up a better title. So the title of that track is I Sit by the Cottage with a Longing in My Heart.
That's a good title.
It's a long title, but I was like, I can't think of anything else. And so that's just what it's called. And people seem to really like that one too. But music has always been something that like I've never done as like a serious thing, which I know you've told me to go play live, which I very much want to, even though it feels kind of masturbatory, but as it goes. But music has always been like just kind of an outlet for me. I do like to make my music sound good, and I like to get better at it. But it's always just been like, I put it out there, I don't charge for it. You can get all of my music for free on Bandcamp, like all the MP3s and all that. And it's just been like, if people like it, then great. But it's mostly just been like for me and my own expression.
Yeah.
And so when I hear people say like, oh, I really enjoyed this music you made, I'm always like, oh, well, thank you. Because like I didn't put it out there for the like as a product, you know, where it's like, oh, I hope people really like my demo. They like my EP.
Yeah.
I hope I get a record deal. It's like, no, I wanted to express things that I felt or am feeling, and if people resonate with it, then great. And it seems like people have been resonating with it. And that last one, Iconium, I came up with that one as kind of two separate things. I had the music part of it kind of mostly there, and it's very simple, and it kind of repeats just twice throughout the song. It's very simple, but I was reading Acts for the first time, and there is a line in it, which is it's just this common thing in Acts where it's like they go somewhere, they preach, they spread the gospel, it either gets accepted or rejected, and then they leave. And there was this part where it said like they weren't welcome there, so they kicked off the dust from their heels against them, and then they went to Iconium. I'm like, that's a cool sounding town. And I looked it up, and I think it's like modern day Cyprus or Turkey or something. I don't know. It's a different. It's called something else now, but like Iconium sounds like such a cool thing. And so I was like, I should just make that like my song. It's just like this very calm little soundtrack that's inspired by like Paul going around, Europe preaching the gospel.
Yep.
And just sailing the seas and traveling around. Like those two things fit really well together. And then that's why I named it what I did. And it starts with like just one of my guys on my Dwell Bible app narrating that verse, and I just took that narration and put it into the song. So the song starts with that one verse, and then the rest is instrumental. But, yeah, that's what I did.
That's a cool name too.
As soon as I heard Iconium, it's like, dude, I want to live in Iconium. It sounds like a periodic table element.
Yes. Take 1/4 zirconium.
Mixed with hydrogen. Yeah, I've been in a inspiration rut for a long time. Like, I've had ideas that I can't quite, like, I often put down, like, demos, which are just, like, a chord progression with maybe a little, like, melodic riff over it. Maybe I'll feel like, okay, here's, like, a vocal melody I can put in, I'll hum it, and I have a lot of those. But it's hard work to pull that up into, like, song level, where it's like, okay, this is the verse, and now I have a chorus for it, and then it's even harder to figure out, like, okay, what, because I always come up with music before I come up with lyrics.
Yes.
Because that's just the way I am, even though I write, like, novels. It's like words don't come to me first when it comes to music.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'll have to make the music and then figure out, like, what does the music make me feel? What does it make me think about? And then once I have something to think about, it's even harder to be like, what do I say about it in a song? And once I get over that hump, it's easier. And I'm over that hump with the new song I'm working on. It's like I'm making progress on it, and it's going places, and I really like the songwriting that I've been able to do with it. So, and then Haley just randomly saying, like, you should do more music. Okay. If you say so. It's funny that you should say that, because she didn't know that I, like, have finally started to work on some things, but it's cool. Yeah. just need to make whatever 7 more songs and the album is done. I mean, I have like half of a song idea that I've been working on in FL Studio, so it has a lot of like synths and strings, but like I need to flesh that one out a little bit more. But I am glad that people are liking the music though.
They do. I like it.
I actually had so you know how Ethan streams with 2 other guys,
Yeah.
2 other friends of his from Indiana. One of the guys, Drew, said that he wanted to use my music for their like hold screens, like on the starting soon
Yeah.
and the be right back screens on their streams. And I'm like, okay, like that seems a little weird, but like okay. And I was like, can I give you like instrumentals? Because it seems weird. Because some of my songs are about like not joyful things.
Yeah.
They're, you know, introspective, melancholy things. And so I've been making instrumental versions of some of my stuff, and I'm gonna send them to them. So they've been liking it too.
That's cool.
Yeah. Very thankful for that. How's your band going?
Oh, we haven't done anything in a while. Well, just because we've gotten busy and stuff, and we haven't really done anything in a bit. I don't know if we might practice more during school year, but just during the summer it's a little bit tough.
Have you been practicing certain songs?
Kinda. Not really. I don't know. We've had like our same 4 songs we've been doing, but it's been a little tough.
It's a hard thing with a band is like,
I think we've all kind of felt uninspired with that, you know?
yeah, it's hard to have a band where, like, if everyone doesn't feel like the compulsion to like be in it, not 100%, but at least, you know, like 80%,
Yeah.
like nothing's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and that's a hard one. There's so many bands that just kind of like fall apart, and there's so many bands that start out super weak and terrible.
Yeah.
Like you listen to any like demos or like super early singles or EPs from some great bands, and they sound like trash.
Horrible.
It's like this is what they were doing when they were like 19, and then they make a great, you know, hit single or hit album when they're 24.
Yep.
It's like that stuff when you're, you know, five years before the good stuff. It's like it's rough.
It's rough.
It's rough.
Yep.
Like I came across I think it was an EP of Tom York's band. This was weird. So this was, oh gosh, they were in school still. They were still at like Oxford. It was him, and it was not Johnny Greenwood, who's the guitarist. It was his brother Colin. Johnny wasn't in the band yet. So the lead guitarist of Radiohead wasn't in Tom York's band at this time.
Mm-hmm.
It was his older brother Colin, who's the bassist in Radiohead, and then a few other guys. And it's this like low quality, like cassette tape EP that they wrote. It's really interesting, but it's like really rough, and it honestly sounds kind of closer to like REM, which is what the kind of stuff they were listening to back, you know, in the late 80s at Oxford. And it's like, this sounds nothing. Like, not only does it sound nothing like Radiohead, it doesn't even sound anything like Pablo Honey. It's just like 1986 or 87 Tom York in school.
That's interesting.
And it's like, it's not that good. But then you like, the same guy goes on to make OK Computer, which is one of the best albums of all time.
Yeah.
So anyone who starts out, and that's the hard thing with the band too, is like you want to make like a big splash or a big statement right off the bat.
Yeah.
And that's hard. And we, like, you're talking about the Beatles.
Yep.
You know, they had to put in their 10,000 hours of playing these
10,000
Liverpool
hours.
pubs.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were probably kind of trash a little bit for a while, just playing
Guaranteed.
covers of blues songs. I mean, some of their first albums is just half covers. half of it is covers, half of it is original stuff.
Yeah.
Like they did a cover of like Please Mr. Postman and whatever, but they were out there doing the work, honing the craft, and like as a band, having, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many people are in your band, like mesh and like work together super well and all have the passion and drive to make something great immediately is extremely rare.
Yeah.
It's so rare.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like there's only a handful of bands I can think of that have done that. Most of them they started out with a lot of rocky stuff that like no one knows about nowadays unless you like do a deep dive into a band and be like,
Right.
oh, there's their crappy songs that no one cares about.
They're one song.
Yeah, they're 2 songs they made on a cassette tape and shared with their friends.
Yeah.
And a few copies exist and they sound terrible. Have you heard Ode to Deodorant by Coldplay?
No.
One of their first, before they did their like, so they did an EP that was before Parachutes, but before that they did Ode to Deodorant, which is, it's like this like lo-fi cassette recording, and it's just them making like an alt rock song. It kind of sounds like early Radiohead, and the lyrics are just how much Chris Martin loves deodorant. That's all it is. You can find it on YouTube. It's pretty funny, but it's like, it's not a good song at all.
Huh.
It's like, hey, the band that made Clocks and Viva La Vida and all of they're selling out arenas around the world. They made Ode to Deodorant when they were in, you know,
That's insane.
when they were in college. So like, again, always encourage creative people to actually just like make things, even if they're garbage.
Yeah.
So you can at least like find out where you're at and
Keep doing
and what needs work and what doesn't need work, and if you don't do it, you'll never know. And for a lot of my adult life, I didn't do anything and just kind of coasted by. But like the more I did things, the more I realized I might be making things that could be bad, but I like making them, and I want to keep making more so I can get better and make things that are worthwhile to people. And I feel like I'm finally, I mean, even going all the way back to when I was like 8 years old, messing around with a video camera, like I'd say that's the first like creative years I had. Like now, finally, like age 25 and after, I feel like I'm making things that are like decent and okay. I'm writing the funniest cozy mystery on the planet, apparently. I don't
So
know.
funny.
But yeah.
That's great.
So if I don't know if that's very helpful at all, but
Yeah.
like when it comes to a band, just doing things, and even being able to like play live just like once,
Yeah.
would be pretty cool. I don't know like what venue you'd be able to do that in, but
Yeah.
have you guys talked about that at all?
No, not really. We haven't practiced in a while.
That's fair. And you were gonna do drums,
Yes.
and then you said Aiden did drums, but he would have to do something else.
Well, he was gonna do bass, but then he kind of had. He didn't really seem super. Is emphatic the right word? I don't know. Like, he had other like. Things that were gonna happen at the same time that he seemed a little more interested in than this.
I
He just
see.
wanted to do it just to do it.
I
No.
see.
So it didn't really work out, and we.
Same thing happened with the Beatles.
Yeah.
The drummer, I don't remember his name, but the Beatles had a drummer who kind of dropped out and then was replaced by Ringo Starr. Like, can you imagine the regret that guy experienced? Just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
which that story. No, I think there is truth to that, but there is also when the Beatles were touring in Japan. Ringo got sick, and so they replaced him with another drummer. I think his name was like Jimmy Nichols or something like that, but he just was playing for the Beatles in Japan with them. So
That's
and they
cool.
didn't even change the billing on the poster. It still said like John, Paul, George, Ringo.
Yeah.
But it was just this guy Jimmy playing on the drums
That's so funny.
at the Budokan or whatever, and that story is what partially inspired that thing you do. Is like, how cool of like a ride would it have been for just like some guy to be a fill-in drummer
Yeah,
and just like have a little bit of fame for a second.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So next time Aiden is like, I don't want to do it. It's like, well, you could be.
Are you sure?
You
Sure.
could be you could be that guy who left the Beatles,
Yeah.
or you could be the guy who fills in Japan, man. What
Yep.
are you gonna be?
Yep.
You're gonna have your fame.
Yeah, which one will it be?
We gotta make our ode to deodorant,
Yeah.
volume 2.
Gotta record your own deodorant.